I think I've had it twice. COVID. I think I've had COVID twice.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
I've had a fever a few days ago. Don't know if it was COVID or not, but
yeah.
yeah, it's quite bad here as well.
Where are you at? If you don't mind sharing.
I, of course. I live in Bangladesh. Have you heard of the country?
Yes, Bangladesh, definitely.
Okay. Have you ever been here?
Nope.
Okay. It's a nice country. You should visit sometime. And after the pandemic. So,
Yeah, I'm hoping to go to Malaysia after the pandemic because Samuel Nassan, one of my friends, runs a Christian church there. We're going to do some debates on Christianity versus atheism in Malaysia.
Okay. Okay, so I think we should start.
Cool.
We should go live then.
Sounds good.
Okay, going live. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to the Islamic Calling Podcast. Today we are joined by Tom from TJump. He is now our guest. Today we wanted to discuss regarding the debate as to whether God exists or not. But before we do any of that, let's run the intro. Hold on, let me just. Here we go. Okay, so Tom, should we, the format is still the same, right? 10 minutes, and then 40 minutes, and then we do 10 minutes Q&A?
Sure.
Okay. So, by the way, everyone in the chat, be respectful, please. Should we get started?
Go for it.
Before we start, let me ask you a few questions. So what is your overall position regarding religion or God?
I'm an atheist, so I believe that there is no evidence for God. I think everything is better explained by naturalism.
Okay.
Anything further you'd like on that?
Like no evidence for God?
What?
Like, do you think that it is possible that God exists, or like
Sure.
no possibility?
It's possible, logically possible.
Okay. So I'm gonna start the timer. Hold on, let me just set up the timer. You do debates like almost like regularly, right?
What? I do debates regularly? Yes.
Okay.
I've been trying to do them like once a day, or at least for the week during the weekdays. Been trying to move out my schedule. I used to do them like once or twice a week, and now I'm trying to do it about 5-6 times a week if possible.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you on Hamza's Den, I think, and your debate with Kenny Bomber.
Yep.
And Brother Amy NJ.
Yep.
So I was kind of interested in that. So yeah. Okay, so I should probably get started. Starting my timer right now. Okay, so does God exist? It's an interesting topic. It's a topic that has been discussed over the centuries for thousands of years, I think. But before I present my argument as to why God exists, I would like to share a story with you guys that I heard when I was a kid. So in my school, my teacher told me a story about Imam Abu Hanifa. In case you guys don't know, Imam Abu Hanifa is a very famous Islamic scholar. He lived in the 7th century, and he made an argument. It's a quite famous argument, but after doing some research, I realized the story may not be authentic. But regardless, I think the story was quite interesting, so I want to share it before I make my argument, that is because it's relevant. So Imam Abu Hanifa was supposed to have a debate with an atheist. And he was quite late to the debate, and everyone was anxious as to why he was so late. Then he showed up like 2 hours later. And when he showed up, the atheist asked him, like, why are you so late? And then he said that, well, I came across this river, and there was no boat around. So what do I do? And then I was waiting. And then all of a sudden I see that bunch of logs started coming up from the water, and it rearranged itself into a bridge, and I crossed the bridge. Then the atheist said, yeah, I don't believe that story for a second. Then Abu Hanifa said that, well, if you don't believe that, then why should I believe that things in the universe come by themselves and work by themselves and move by themselves? Now, the argument sounds very simple, but before I get to anything, let's imagine a thought experiment. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that there is an alternate universe, and in this universe, there's a room and there's two chairs. Now these chairs and the room is made up of a material that can stand for eternity, right? Now, in this room, is it logically conceivable under any circumstances for either the chair to move themselves without any conscious being or intelligent being? Now, I think the logical answer would be that no, it's not possible. So from this, we can get one principle, which is that it is highly unlikely for things to move by themselves. So this would be my premise one. In our existence, it is highly unlikely for things to move by themselves. Premise two would be that we see things moving all the time, especially in our existence. And there can be two explanations for this. One, they're moving by themselves, or two, they're being moved by some kind of conscious being, or conscious or intelligent being. Now, we have no evidence for option number one, which is then they're moving by themselves. So the most logical option is that option number two, which is they're being moved by some kind of conscious or intelligent being. Now, this conscious or intelligent being can only be one, because if there's two of them, or if there are two equally powerful conscious beings that are running everything, then we would run into a type of logical contradiction. For example, imagine a scenario where you have two equally powerful beings, and one equally powerful being says to the other one, hey, you know what? I don't want the earth to move today. And the other one says that, you know what? I do want the earth to move today. Then it has to be logically conceivable that the earth will both move and not move at the same time. But is this something logically conceivable? No. Now, if someone wants to argue that, they have to prove that. Logical contradictions can take place. So we can throw this hypothesis out the window that there can be more than one God. So it's most likely that there is one God. And so the conclusion would be that there is the opposition that everything is being moved by a powerful being, one powerful being, is more logically likely than the other option, which is that there is no powerful being and they're just moving by themselves. Now, there can be a few counters to this. For example, you could appeal to naturalism, as you said, philosophical naturalism, or scientism, or science, but that would be circular reasoning. Why? Because, and this is something atheists do all the time, basically you would be explaining nature with nature, which is the same as me saying the Quran is true because God says so. Okay? And I can explain that if we go into the back and forth, but I'll leave it at that. Another explanation could be that, what moves God, right? God is a conscious being with a will. He doesn't need to be moved by anything else. Then you could say, well, what if things are going on for an infinity? Then again, we go back to the same problem. Either there can be two possibilities. They're moving by themselves, or they may move by some kind of conscious or intelligent being. So all three options are out the window. So I think the most logical option is that a God exists, and that is the best explanation for movement that we see in our existence. Now, I think that's about it for my argument. And if you want to start, we can start. Do you want to start now?
Sure, I can start.
But I still have some time left. I think I'm only done like 5 minutes. So if I want to save some of that time, is that okay?
Yeah.
Like I have 4 minutes left. Okay, you can go.
Yeah, I'm fine with, I don't really need a strict time structure. We can just go for however long you want to go. Doesn't make a difference to me. So yeah, my position.
You could give a position for like 10 minutes. You can say some opening, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, just like in general. So you don't need to save the time. We just keep going. You don't need to like actually keep track of how much time is saved. All right. So my position is atheism, naturalism is the best position because there is no evidence of any minds existing that are not a result of brains or physical interactions. And so if you're going to posit that there is some kind of a brain that exists outside of physical interactions, you would need to provide evidence for such a thing. To make the argument that it's more plausible that a non-physical mind can cause the first action is completely ridiculous. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. All minds are, again, a result of physical interactions in the universe. So to think that a mind could somehow predate the universe is to think that an apple can predate an apple tree. And it doesn't work that way. So in order to posit what is the origin of the universe, the best explanation is that of physics. We have to look at the evidence, what makes the novel testable predictions, what is the most basal thing in the universe, and right now it's quantum fields and virtual particles. Those are the thing that we have the most evidence for that actually exists to cause anything, not minds. To say a mind created the universe is to like to say a potato created the universe. Potatoes are something that didn't come about until billions of years after the origin of the universe, so it's not plausible to think that a potato created the universe, and for the exact same reason, it's not plausible to think a mind created the universe. The argument about how things must either move themselves or be moved by a creator. Well, the creator must move himself also. So you get to the exact same paradox. Either the creator moved himself or was caused to move by something else. So the same problem applies to the creator as it does any natural thing. And again, the best explanation is the one that's supported by the evidence, which is quantum fields are eternal and always moving and don't ever stop moving. That is the better explanation than to say that a mind moved it, because again, there's no evidence minds can exist without fields. You need a field to have a mind in the first place. Fields, you don't need a mind. You don't need a mind to create a field. You do need a field to create a mind. That's all of the evidence in physics indicates that. All of the things in the world are better explained by naturalism. That's the consensus in essentially every scientific field. The consensus in physics and cosmology and theoretical physics and particle physics, all of them are majority naturalists. God has nothing to do with the creation of the universe. If you look at all the different models for the origin of the universe, God is not in any of them because physics is a very well-developed field. And in order to have a theory of what created the universe, you need to be able to answer very specific questions in the field of physics, like the energy density, the perturbation density, the dark matter-dark energy relationship, the absence of antiparticles. If you can't answer the actual questions in physics, then you don't have a theory of physics. You can't say anything about the origin of the universe because you don't have a theory that explains the variables in the origin of the universe. That's why God is not accepted as a hypothesis to explain the origin of the universe. While the physical theories like string theory, multiverse, those kind of things are accepted because those actually answer the questions. So in order to make a plausible theory for what created the universe, you can't just use your intuition and think, I think minds can do it. That doesn't work. That doesn't count as evidence. That's just your imagination. You need actual novel testable predictions. And physics is the only thing that provides that. Physics says quantum fields are the most basal thing in the universe. That is what is most likely the best explanation for the origin of the universe. I'll end there.
Okay, so that's your opening statement?
Sure.
Okay, so that was 3 minutes. So you said a few things, and I have to say I'm a little disappointed because these are things I usually hear from atheists. So you said that the argument you made about mind, can you repeat that, please?
What? Oh, can I repeat it? Yeah. So all of the evidence we've ever had, indicates minds are a result of brains and physical interactions. There is no evidence of a non-physical mind, so to posit that a mind can exist or before or outside of the universe to create it is...
Let's just unpack that for a minute. So minds are a product of physical beings.
That's all of the evidence indicates that, yes.
All of the evidence indicates that mind is the product of physical being. Okay. Which evidence are you talking about?
The entire field of neurology, psychology, biology, physics.
Okay, can you give me some quotations?
Quotations like...
Because you know that there are different theories of mind, right?
Oliver Sacks, Julian Mussolino, take your pick.
What did they say exactly?
That there is no room for the soul in any of the natural sciences because all of the evidence indicates it's a product of the mind.
Yeah, you do realize that I already responded to your argument in opening, right?
Well, it can't be a response if it's in the opening, but if you did, you're wrong. I mean, just if you want to go against the consensus of every academic field,
Tom,
you can be wrong.
Tom, you're using circular reasoning.
That's not circular reasoning, but you can.
Yes, it's circular reasoning
No.
because you're using
Which
nature
premise
to
is in the
explain
conclusion?
nature to answer a metaphysical question.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
I mean, okay. When I
So let me just.
ask
I don't think you understand
the
what any of those
question
words
regarding-
mean. So one sec.
Yeah, I do.
Well,
I do,
no.
Tom, I do.
Clearly you don't. So let me clarify. I said this is.
Okay, please clarify.
All of the evidence indicates this. That's inductive. So this is inductive evidence.
Okay. Yes.
Which is what science uses. It's not proving anything. Science may or may not have anything to say about the metaphysical.
No,
It's perfectly fine if it does.
You're misunderstanding me. What I said is that this is a metaphysical question. Science doesn't deal with metaphysics.
Yes, it is.
Since
Literally
when?
does.
Science presupposes philosophical naturalism, does it not?
No, it doesn't.
What are you talking about?
Science doesn't presuppose anything. If you can show the supernatural could exist using science, science doesn't presuppose anything.
Okay, so how did they prove that mind is the product of physical existence?
That's what the evidence indicates by doing experiments in neurology to try and predict what is the cause of the consciousness by doing experiments on the brain.
Have you heard of heart problem of consciousness?
Yes.
What is the heart problem of consciousness?
The hard problem of consciousness is that we can't know exactly what consciousness is.
That's not the heart problem of consciousness.
Yeah, it is. There's no interactive way to know what consciousness is.
No, Tom. I made a video on this. Okay, so there
That's
are
nice.
two.
I did too.
In neurology, right? Neuroscience, there are two problems basically. There's the soft problem of consciousness and the hard problem of consciousness. The soft problem is how do things in our brain relate or correlate with our thoughts, and the hard problem is how exactly does the chemicals in our brain turns into thoughts. Okay, there are more to it obviously, but that is basically the hard problem of consciousness, right? No scientist can give you the answer as to why chemicals or how turns into thoughts.
Well, you're wrong on
that's
that
not
one.
a question.
So the hard problem of consciousness is how to explain how any physical state has consciousness. The question is what consciousness is, not how chemicals do it. It's how any physical state does it. It's literally asking the question,
no,
what is consciousness?
I'm pretty sure I quoted a scientist on this. But
Okay, I'm just going to pull up because I mean you're just wrong on this. So okay, hard problem of consciousness. Here is the iep.u2em.edu. A hard problem of consciousness is the problem of explaining why any physical state is conscious rather than non-conscious. Literally what I just said.
Okay, hold on. Let me just pull up my citation. Give me a minute. So,
Hard problem of consciousness from David Chalmers. The hard problem of consciousness is the problem explaining the relationship between physical phenomenon, such as brain processes and experience, with phenomenal consciousness.
okay.
So any physical state.
Hold on. I'm pulling up the citations. Hold on.
I mean, if you want, you could just skip this and bring up like an argument or something because it doesn't matter to your point.
Okay, so you're quoting David Chalmers, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
And literally every source we have here.
he is a materialist, though.
No. No. David Chalmers is not a materialist.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, hold on. You got the citation here.
He's literally against materialism. I think he's an idealist. He could be a dualist, but I'm pretty sure he's an idealist. But can we like actually get to a point here? Like make an argument?
Okay, so I have hold on, let me share the screen. Okay, so this is
That's
written
not
by
an academic journal. That's an article.
Yes, I know. It's written by scientists. Michael
Yeah,
Lipman.
it's an article, not an academic journal. I pulled up an academic journal. I actually read it from an academic source. This is not a source. This is a journal.
Yes,
This is an
it's
article.
written by scientists.
Do you understand the difference between an article and an academic journal?
I know the difference, Tom.
Then clearly, then what you're doing right now is showing a
But
crap
my point
comparison.
is that I'm quoting a scientist.
That
Yes,
doesn't matter.
so are you.
If you know the difference between an article and a scientific journal, then you know
You're
quoting an
appealing to
article
authority,
is
Tom.
garbage.
You're
I just
appealing to
quoted a
authority.
scientific journal.
Yes, that doesn't make a difference. The argument.
But you
has to be
just said
sound.
you
It
knew
doesn't
the
matter if
difference.
you cite like some
Okay,
Nobel Prize
academic journal
Nobel Prize
means
winning
actual
citing or
source.
whatever.
Academic journal means it's
What
peer
matters
reviewed.
is the actual argument. You have to give me the argument. Okay, you can just
This
cite people.
this isn't an argument.
Because
I'm
I
just
know
telling
there
you
is
the
difference of
definition.
opinion on this.
This isn't an argument. I'm telling you the definition. The hard problem of consciousness is explaining that how
Yes,
any
and he's
physical
defining
thing
it
causes consciousness.
differently. Can you please let me read?
No,
Okay, let me just read.
because
Let me
I just
let me
debunked
read.
you. You bringing an article
Okay, let's
doesn't
read.
matter.
First, the philosophical issue.
I brought
It's fair to
an
say that the
academic
mind
source.
problem is the most active and contentious field in philosophical inquiry in modern times. Philosopher David Chalmers has summarized the conundrum succinctly. There are two kinds of problems in understanding how the mind relates to the brain: the easy problem and the hard problem. The easy problems are the ordinary scientific questions addressed by neuroscience, such as what part of the brain is active when I think, or what neurotransmitters are secreted when I feel anxious. The science may be difficult, but the questions are tractable. Scientific research has the tools to address the easy problem. The hard problem is another matter entirely. How do material brain state correspond to mental state? Exactly what I said.
No,
Exactly what I
again, you're an idiot. So
No,
as
Tom, you're an idiot.
This
Because
is
I
an
just cited
article.
this.
This is an opinion piece. This is not an academic
doesn't
source.
matter if it's an article.
Yes,
what are
it
you talking about?
does.
What difference does it make?
One is peer reviewed by experts
you're-
in the field. One is an opinion
Yeah.
piece. I have a source for peer reviewed by experts in the field. You have
Okay,
an
show me the
opinion
source.
piece.
Show me the source, please.
And I literally
show me
just
the source.
read David Chalmers saying what I said in an academic
Yes.
journal.
Yes. So
So
I
you're
don't understand your
wrong, and
point
I'm
here.
right. Yes, thank you.
Just because you're citing a peer-reviewed paper doesn't mean you're right. Like they're giving two different definitions. Can you show me? Can you share the screen, please?
Yes.
I would like to see it, please.
How do I do that? Share screen. What does that say right there?
This is Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, dude.
Yes, which is an academic peer-reviewed source. Would you like the Stanford
Of
Encyclopedia of
philosophy.
Philosophy?
Of philosophy.
Yes, the hard problem is a philosophy
Are you
thing.
stupid, dude?
You dumbass. David Chalmers is a philosopher, you dumbass.
Are you literally dumb?
Idiot. You just quoted a philosopher. Your article is written by a philosopher, you dumbass. This is you
It is
were so
written by Michael
stupid.
Egnor. He's a
You're
scientist.
such an idiot. You just quoted a philosopher. Now you're complaining about a philosophy source about a problem in
Look at Michael
philosophy.
Egnor.
You idiot. You're such a dumbass.
Michael Egnor. Let's look at Michael Egnor. Okay, let me share the screen.
Holy shit. David Chalmers is a philosopher, moron. He's the guy you were quoting, you idiots.
Yes, I know that. But this article is written by a scientist, a neuroscientist. A
Oh my
neuroscientist is
God.
quoting a
Oh my
philosopher.
God, you're so dumb.
That is different than you just simply citing a philosopher.
The hard problem of philosophy, the hard problem of consciousness is a problem in philosophy.
Yes, I
Oh
know
my
that.
God, you're so dumb.
Okay, let's read the thing.
The
Read
hard
it for me,
problem
please.
of consciousness is a problem explaining why any physical state is conscious rather than non-conscious.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you're dumb.
Can you make the screen a little bit bigger?
What do you mean? Like zoom in?
Like, yeah, I can see it.
Like that? Or do you want it the other way?
Yeah, please make it bigger.
Is that good?
Non-consciousness is the problem of explaining why any physical state is non-conscious rather than conscious. So yeah, he's basically simplifying it. It's the problem of explaining
no,
why
he's
there
not-
is
he's not-
something. It is like
He's
for a
not
subject.
simplifying. This is
in
what it
conscious
actually is.
experiments. He is conscious, but either way. So I've quoted Michael Egnor, and Michael Egnor is.
Oh
a
God, I debated
neuroscientist.
Michael Ignor. He's an idiot. Oh my God.
Yeah, but he's a neurosurgeon,
He's an idiot.
and I don't know.
I debated Julian Mussolino. He's a much more accredited doctor.
Okay.
How do I stop share screen?
So apparently you know better than
Stop sharing.
doctors. But either way, we have further off from the
Yeah,
topic.
you wasted
Sorry
all of
for-
our
sorry
time
for
here
the-
on
sorry
this,
for-
this
sorry for the-
pointless
sorry for the
definition
Indian
debate, which I
language,
was
by the
right
way.
on. What's your argument?
Sorry about getting heated. I do apologize, but you're getting stuck up on the definition. But your argument is still
You
not
were the
having
one
no
getting
basis.
stuck on the definition. I told you what the definition was. You wanted to bring up the sources. I didn't say anything about the sources. Bring up your argument. What's your argument?
Okay, so again, like I said, you're using circular reasoning. You're appealing
How?
to nature to
What?
explain
Which
a
one of my
metaphysical
premises is in
problem.
my conclusion?
Your premise is that you're using. You're saying that. What did you say? That can you repeat that, please?
Which one of my premises is in my conclusion? Circular reasoning is when you have a premise in your conclusion.
Yes, I know that. Yes, I know that. You said that the mind thing, right? That there has to be the mind has to be in a state something or something along that line. Can you please repeat that?
I said all of the evidence indicates that the mind is a result of brain physical interactions.
What does that have to do with movement?
Movement.
Like I gave you a thought experiment. Can you disprove the thought experiment?
I don't remember the thought experiment, but my argument is that all of the evidence indicates that the mind is a result of the brain, just like pineapples are a result of pineapple trees. So if all of the evidence indicates that minds can only come about after physical fields, then you can't posit a mind before a physical field, just like you can't posit a pineapple before a pineapple tree. So I wasn't addressing your thought experiment. What's your
I
thought
wasn't
experiment?
talking about mind. I talked about consciousness, right?
Those
something
are
with
so,
a will.
so mind and consciousness
with
are
a
the
will.
same here. Those are synonyms.
No.
Yes.
I'm talking about something with the will or consciousness.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
So
but
that's called
either way,
qualia.
this is
In
nothing
philosophy, that's
to do-
called qualia. Mind, qualia, consciousness are all synonyms. They mean
This
the
is- this is
thing,
nothing-
the consciousness.
Yeah, but this has nothing to do with the argument. The argument I presented is still sound.
This is
because
my
you
argument.
haven't-
I'm not addressing your argument. I'm just refuting it by saying
Okay,
all
okay.
consciousness, all evidence of any consciousness ever is
Okay.
only a result of things after fields exist. There is no evidence any minds can exist without space-time fields and matter. Therefore, to posit any mind at all could do anything outside of any space-time field ever is baseless, made up, like saying a pineapple can exist before space-time. That's silly, right? You would agree it's silly
now
to say a
let me explain
pineapple.
why this is circular. Let me explain why this is circular. You're using things in nature to explain how things in nature work.
That's not
Is that
circular.
not circular?
Nope.
How is that not circular?
Which one of the premises in the conclusion? Which premise was in the conclusion?
Okay, your premise is that for minds to work, you need a physical body, right?
No, that's the conclusion.
That's literally what you said.
That's the conclusion. Yeah, that's
Okay,
the conclusion. That's the end. That's the end of the evidence.
Okay. Please, then repeat the argument for me, please.
Okay, so the
Maybe I'm
argument
misunderstood.
the argument is that when we do tests in neurology and we can do things to affect consciousness, all the things
Yeah.
that
Wait. Test in neurology. How? How do you do the test?
electrodes in the brain.
material
We
things,
damage
right?
we damage the brain and fix the brain.
Okay.
Thank you for the
based on
super chat, Cosmic. Appreciate it.
Yes, and that's based on materialism, right? Material
No,
things.
it's just based on novel
Yeah,
technical
but
predictions.
you see things in nature. Yes.
Sure. We don't see things anywhere else.
You see things in nature and then come to a conclusion regarding nature. Yes.
Yes. So we see things in nature and then conclude about nature. Yes.
Yes, that's circular.
No, it's not. It's basic evidence.
Yes. No, that's circular.
If
Because it's circular in the sense that I'm asking a metaphysical question as to why
that doesn't
there is
affect
movement
it
in the
doesn't make
first
something
place.
circular. So you don't understand how circular reasoning works. So if I see a video game and I press a stick and see an effect on a video game, the fact that I'm seeing the video game and making a conclusion about the video game is not
That's a
circular.
faulty
That's how
comparison
evidence
fallacy.
works. So
That
evidence
comparison
works.
doesn't make any sense, bro.
So try to pay attention more. So if I let's say I want
that analogy doesn't work. Let me explain, please.
I'm trying to explain why what you just said is the dumbest
that
thing imaginable.
analogy doesn't work.
Wait,
because
I'm trying
we're talking
to
about-
address your argument. I'm trying to address
Yes, I know.
address your argument. So your argument is that
we're
this is
talking
circular
about-
because
We're talking about things in nature. And
Right.
you
I
using
know-
what
I
you
know
see
what
in
you just
nature
said.
to explain the nature.
I know what you just
Right.
said. So now let me try to explain why it's stupid. So you said you look in nature and you make conclusions about nature and you said that's circular. Which is dumb because if you want to make a conclusion about anything, you have to refer to the thing. You have to have evidence about the thing. If you want to know God, you have to like interact with God. Is that circular? No, because that isn't one of the premises. You can do evidence and interact with something. Like I can see a TV, I can touch my TV and make a conclusion that it's 55 inches. That's circular? No, because the conclusion is not in any of the premises. You can interact
If you're
with
addressing a metaphysical problem, then yes, it is circular.
What? How does your brain conceive of whether or not it's metaphysical changes it to make it circular? If the structure of the argument does not have of the premise, if the premises are nowhere in the conclusion, it's not circular.
Tom.
It doesn't matter if it's about metaphysics or ontology or epistemology. All circularity is the same.
Can you tell me your first premise?
First premise.
Your first premise of the argument.
First premise of the argument. I have to like write it out. All right. So.
Please do.
If we can change consciousness by interacting with the brain, if the brain is physical, we can change it by zapping it physically. We can change it by zapping it physically, therefore the consciousness is physical.
What?
If consciousness is a result of physical brains, we can affect it by changing the structure of physical brains. We can change consciousness by changing the structure of physical brains, therefore consciousness is physical.
Okay, so basically you're using the brain to explain the brain?
No.
Okay, so you're using the brain to explain mind. Is that right?
No. Interaction. So I'll say it again. It's if the brain is physical, if we can change, or the consciousness is physical, if we can change consciousness by interacting with the brain. We can change consciousness by interacting with the brain. Therefore, consciousness is physical.
So, okay. So you're talking about like when someone get brain damage, it affects their personality, something like that?
That would be an example, yes.
Okay, gotcha. So that's what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so your premise is that when you hurt your brain, then that affects the personality. Therefore, this proves that brain affects personality. Our consciousness is the product of the brain. I'm sorry, but I don't see how that follows.
It's modus tollens. Modus ponens. Like.
Yeah, but Tom, your argument doesn't follow from what I understood, unless I misunderstood it.
So if consciousness is a result of the brain, we can affect consciousness by physically changing the brain. We can affect consciousness by physically changing the brain. Therefore, consciousness is physical.
Yeah, but okay, so basically this is a type of like so you're saying that because the brain is affected by the personality is affected by the brain, therefore this proves that
it's evidence. It's not a proof, it's evidence. There's no proof in science, you only evidence.
But how does it prove that brain is causing
there's no proof. There's no proof in science. It's evidence, it's not proof. Evidence not the same as proof. Evidence.
Then how are you coming to the conclusion that you need a brain for consciousness?
Because it's evidence that is the case. Evidence is something that indicates the conclusion.
Yeah, for human beings.
For anyone.
How do you know it's for anyone?
That's how evidence works. That's how modus ponens and modus tollens in logic work. If the conclusion follows from the premises, it is reasonable to adopt the conclusion. If the premises are sound, or if the premises are true, then the conclusion is sound. It's basic logic.
Yeah, I know that, but your argument
if you know it's logic, then it's evidence.
Because you're using what you're seeing in nature to explain what's happening in nature.
Which is not circular. That's not what circular means. Circular means there is one of the premises is in the conclusion. Not that you're using nature to explain nature. That's not circular.
I'm talking about movement though. Okay, so you talked about this. First of all, I talked about consciousness.
I don't remember what you said you had a thought experiment or something about. I don't remember what that was.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine there is a room in an alternate universe, and you have two chairs. Can those two chairs move by themselves?
Okay.
Well, can it?
Or yeah, it's logically possible.
How is it logically possible? Can you prove it?
Yes, quantum mechanics is called virtual particles. They do it all the time. Your chairs are like every chair
You're
in
using
your
circular
room is
reasoning
moving.
again.
What?
You're using nature to explain nature.
That's not circular. Again, we already went over this. That's not
because
circular.
we're trying to understand what's happening in nature, right?
Yes.
You can just assume what's happening and then argue from there.
We're not assuming anything. We're literally observing it. So if we look, oh look, rocks fall down a mountain and hit something. We're explaining the rock falling and hitting something by looking and seeing it happen.
Based on your understanding, which makes it circular.
No,
which is based on
which
philosophical
premise is in the conclusion. It's not circular unless you can show which premise is in the conclusion.
Yes, it's in the conclusion.
Which premise is in the conclusion? You keep confusing your bad analogy with an actual fallacy in logic, which isn't there. Using nature to explain nature is totally fine. You can do that. It's very, very easy. That's not
using
circular.
Nature to explain a metaphysical problem.
It doesn't matter if it's metaphysical or not. Metaphysical changes nothing. You putting in a big word you don't understand does not make it circular.
Yes, it does, because you're using nature to...
That's not circular.
Okay, Tom, let me ask you this then. So when you said that the mind is the product of like the brain, simply because there's a connection, that doesn't prove that brain causes
You're right. It doesn't prove
mind.
it because there's no proof in science, but it is evidence. Evidence is good. Evidence yes.
For what?
Proof,
exactly?
no. Evidence
yes.
yes.
For what you already believe in?
No,
that's
it's a conclusion based on evidence. It's not, there's not, what you believe makes no difference. It's evidence regardless of what you believe. Even if you're an idealist and you think there's nothing but consciousness, the fact that you see consciousness being affected by changes in the brain is evidence of physicalism, even if you don't believe in physicalism.
No, it shows that there is a connection. This is known
yes,
as
that's how evidence works.
Fallacy.
Evidence is a connection. Evidence, connection.
There's a connection, but just because there's a connection doesn't mean that it's causation.
You don't need proof. You don't need proof. It's just evidence.
If you don't have proof, then why are you concluding that,
Because you don't need proof.
Consciousness, you need
brain. Evidence is all you need. Evidence is what makes something reasonable. Proof is, you don't need proof.
Yeah, how do you explain the evidence?
How do I explain the evidence?
Yeah, based on what? Because people have different
novel testable predictions, experiments, repeatability, testability, verifiability.
Yeah, all based on your preconceived notion.
There are no preconceived notions here. This is true for everyone. Idealists, dualists, materialists, it's all evidence for all of them. The preconditions don't make a difference here. I don't think you understand how evidence works.
Basically, you're saying that...
like, as I said before, science does not presuppose naturalism.
You're still using hasty generalization. You do realize that, right?
How am I using a hasty generalization?
Because you're using human beings and what's happening with human beings and assuming this is the case for everywhere.
No.
Because, again, the reason I'm going to the consciousness thing is because I'm seeing that there's movement, and movement cannot happen unless there's consciousness.
Okay, that's made up nonsense. There is no evidence of that at all. There's no evidence of that. Where is your evidence that movement...
I'm logically concluding this. This is logical deduction.
Logical deduction. How do you get logical deduction there? Go ahead.
The
show
movement
me.
itself is evidence.
Wait, what? What is?
Okay, let me ask you this. If you're in your home and you see that your door is open, what would you think? Do you think that like the door opened itself, or do you think someone opened it?
Someone or the wind. The wind could have opened it.
So if you see like your door opened,
yeah,
you think that your door just opened by itself?
The wind opened it. Yes, that's usually what happens. My door is usually opened by changes in air pressure.
Right. So if you lock your door, wind can just open your door like that.
It'll take a big custom wind to do that.
Dude, you're speaking nonsense, man. Like I talked about why movement and the most logical explanation for movement, and you started talking about mind cannot exist outside a body, but you can prove that because you're assuming based on...
I'm not assuming based on anything. It's just evidence. So you are assuming that mind can exist without space-time, and mind can cause thing to move.
I'm not assuming that. I'm logically deducing it.
No, that's an assumption. There's zero evidence for that. None. I have evidence. You have no evidence. So my position that fields can exist and fields can move without any consciousness, and they're always there, and they can always move, and they don't need a mover. There's lots of evidence to support that. We can prove it scientifically, called the Casimir Effect. Virtual particles have been proven to exist and can move without any kind of cause. It's called the Casimir Effect. It's been empirically demonstrated in science.
You can use nature to explain nature.
Yes, you can. That's not circular. We do it all the time.
Yes,
it's literally what science does. That's how we discovered gravity and electromagnetic fields. And every single thing in science was nature describing nature. It's not circular.
Science assumes philosophical naturalism.
No, it does not. I already addressed that. No, it does not. Science does not assume philosophical naturalism at all. Nowhere in science do they do that.
So science is not based on induction.
Science is based on induction. You don't need philosophical naturalism for induction.
If science is based on induction, is induction perfect?
No.
Then how do you know your conclusion is true then?
Because you don't need 100% certainty for knowledge.
Okay, so then when you conclude based on science, okay, by the way, let me ask you something.
Thank you for the super chat.
Okay, so let me ask you something. So you think that based on science, science can give you the true conclusion?
Yes.
Right, always.
No, just probably. Yes, science is more right than literally anything else. Science is the most right, most reliable method of all human beings that we've ever found of anything. Is it always right? No, it's more right than anything else.
Okay, do you have any scientific evidence for that?
Yes.
What scientific evidence do you have to this?
The technology we're currently using, airplanes, space travel, computers, penicillin, GMOs.
You know that they discovered airplanes when they believed before, like there were discoveries before based on wrong theories in science, right? You know that, right?
Yes. When you prove something wrong, you learn something. There's lots of discoveries like that.
So you can have a situation where you can have technology based on false theories.
Sort of. Yes. Which doesn't mean that it's not right. Science is still more right than everything else.
Why would you think that this is correct?
Because it's still more right than everything else.
Oh, what are you comparing it with then?
Everything. Every religious book, every written, every intuition, every humans have, every method ever discovered. What? You asked me, what am I comparing it to? I'm comparing it to literally everything. Everything else fails. Religion fails, Islam fails, Christianity fails, Judaism fails, Hinduism fails. Every method humans have ever discovered, religious and otherwise, witchcraft fails, voodoo fails. Every method humans have ever invented fails. The ones that work are called science.
Just because something works doesn't mean it's true. You know that, right?
Oh my God. So if something works and everything else fails, the thing that's reasonable to believe is the thing that works, right?
Yes, and you can have things working that's not true, based on things that are not true.
But the one that's reasonable to trust is the one that works, right?
For example, in the past, people believed, based on evidence, for example, I made a whole entire playlist on evolution. You can check it out. There is one theory that was made by a guy named James Hutton, and he believed that the earth was organic, right? He had a whole theory, and he wanted to prove his theory. He went out and did experiments or found evidence for his theory. And then based on his theory was accepted, well accepted. Later on, plate tectonics came along and disproved it, right? But for years, people accepted this as fact, right? They thought that this was correct. So then if you're saying that based on science, you can talk about metaphysical problems or you can solve metaphysical problems, then how do you know that the scientific theory that you're accepting will give you the true conclusion?
Because it's still more right than literally everything else. So if you have, let's say...
Even when you have contradictory scientific theories.
Yes, there can be contradictory scientific theories. Science is still more right than everything else. So it's like if I say I have a tool that works 90% of the time and every other tool fails 99% of the time, the tool that works 90% of the time is the best tool. Yours fails every time. Mine works most of the time. This is the successful tool. The fact that some theories are slightly different doesn't make it not the most successful tool. Your theories are all failures. Mine still work with a high degree of success. The fact that there's some variation doesn't make a difference. This was still the best. They're all better than yours. Every single one of the variants are still better than yours.
How is it better if it's constantly being proven false?
Okay. So
I just gave you an example.
All of your model,
theories,
all of the religious models
theories that were rejected, that was proven false.
They were proven false by science making progress.
If you base your what do you call it? What is true and what is false based on that?
Yes.
Eventually, you're gonna lead into a false conclusion. Then how is it the best?
Because it's the one that makes more true things than false things. So like, again, as I said, if you have a tool that works 90% of the time, that means it gets 9 right, 1 wrong. That tool is better than one that gets 9 wrong and 1 right, correct? Right?
Yeah, you're basically using what is known as scientism.
No, I'm not. But
yes.
So let's just go keep answering my questions for a little bit. So if a tool gets 9 right and 1 wrong, the fact that it can get
no tool is getting 9 right and 9 wrong.
What?
Okay, you're coming up with nonsense and arbitrary numbers without ever justifying anything.
It's an analogy. There's no comparison here. It's just saying, oh look, is a tool that gets 9 right and 1 wrong better than a tool that gets 9 wrong and 1 right? Like,
how would you know science is getting 9 right?
I didn't say science. I said if a tool, any tool, it doesn't matter if it's science, any tool, if any tool gets 9 right, 1 wrong, and is that a better tool than one that gets 9 wrong and 1 right? Yes, right?
So what are
right? You would go with the tool that gets it right 90% of the time, right? That's a good tool. Better than the other one.
Tool. Yeah, a good tool, sure.
Okay, so if the best, so what we want to do is we want to go with the best tool, the one that gets the most right and the least wrong. And the one that does that is science. Science is the best tool to learn anything about anything ever. Science is the one that gets it right the most. So it is the one we should go with.
Yeah, you're explaining scientism to me.
No, scientism is the position that only science is the only way to gain knowledge at all, which I did not say. I said it was the most reliable.
Okay.
So it's not scientism.
Fine, no problem. Let's say for the sake of argument, it is the most reliable, no problem.
Yes.
But that still doesn't mean that you can base or solve metaphysical problem based on science.
So if it's the most
philosophical
reliable
problem based on science.
Wait, so if it's the most reliable, we grant that for the sake of the argument, then the one that we want to trust is that one and not any of the other ones.
Yeah, but that one will not answer the question I'm asking.
It's the most reliable. That's what it means. It answers those questions the most reliably. Like, I think you're confused here. Like, most scientists say that science is real. Science describes the reality the way it is. Scientific realism is the position. It is the consensus in science and philosophy. Science does answer metaphysical questions. That's what most philosophers and scientists are doing.
Science does not answer metaphysics.
Yes, it does. Google scientific realism. Scientific realism is literally the statement, science answers metaphysical questions. It is in the Phil Survey's paper, the survey of philosophers and scientists about what they believe. Most philosophers and scientists, the consensus in every one of the fields is called scientific realism, is the position that science does answer metaphysical questions.
Okay. So
Phil Survey's paper, again, 2020. You can check it yourself.
Again, let's go back to the thought experiment. Like, can you prove that the chairs can move themselves?
Yes, because they're made of particles. They are moving. They are literally moving right now. All of your chairs are moving.
No. Let's say they're made of something where there's no movement.
Okay, then they would not move. But there's no such thing. Like, all things in the universe are moving. All particles, all fields, they're all moving. There's no such thing as a non-moving thing.
Okay, so if no one moves those chairs, they will not move, right?
If they're made of your magical substance that doesn't move, but there are no such chairs in the universe. All chairs in the universe are made of quantum fields that move.
Yeah, you're again using circular reasoning.
That's not circular reasoning. It's just a fact. Quantum fields exist and they move. This is not circular reasoning. Which premise is in the conclusion?
Yeah, I'm asking why quantum mechanics or why these things move in the first place.
It's the part of their nature.
What do you mean it's part of their nature? So they're conscious?
No, they're not conscious. They move by their nature. There's no consciousness. You don't
Yeah,
need
why do
consciousness
they
to
move? Why do they move?
because it's a part of their nature.
That's circular.
No, which premise is in the conclusion?
You just said that you said that they move. I
Yes.
asked why they move. It's their nature.
Yes.
So are they conscious?
No,
So then how are they moving then?
because it's a part of their nature. It's the properties that make
Yes,
them.
you're using circular reasoning.
That's not circular reasoning. Which premise is in the conclusion?
Your premise that it's in their nature. How do you know it's in their nature? Not they're not being moved by something else.
Which premise is that? That's not a premise. That's a conclusion. That can't be. That's not one of the premises.
Okay, so lay it out for me. I'm gonna write this because I think we're both getting confused.
Okay.
So, what's your first premise?
Okay. So let's see. We're talking about movement. So
Okay, hold on. Let me share the screen.
all right. Let me know when you're ready.
All right.
I can just type it. Because you have a chat. I can just type it.
Hold on. Can you see it?
I see a black screen.
Hold on. Oh wait. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. So, what's your first premise?
One sec. I'm typing it out. I'm going to just put it in the private chat so you can just copy it.
Okay. Hold on.
Casimir Effect. One second. How do I try to correct auto Casimir? There we go. Casimir Effect. We can detect movement in the Casimir Effect. Conclusion. Quantum fields, nature entails movement. Copy, paste. Effect. Send.
Okay.
Didn't say the structure. I'll try
Okay.
to just do it premise 1, premise 2. If the quantum field
Please do that.
effect E1.
Okay.
CP2.
Okay, let me write it on the thing.
Conclusion. There we go. Premise 1. If quantum field's nature entails movement, we can detect virtual particles in the Casimir effect. There should be an effect at the last part of premise 1. Premise 2, we can detect movement in the Casimir effect. Conclusion, quantum field's nature entails movement.
Hold on. Let me just type it. Okay. All right, let me share the screen so we can all see this. All right, hold on. Okay. So this is your argument?
If I can't, it's black. It went black.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Yeah, can you see it?
Premise 1. If quantum field's nature entails movement, it should be like a field, should be S. If quantum field's nature.
Okay.
We can detect virtual particles in the Casimir effect. It should say Casimir effect, but that's fine. Premise 2, we can detect movement in the Casimir effect. Conclusion, yes, that is it.
Okay. So your first premise is if quantum field nature
you for the super
entails movement,
Yep.
movement, we can detect virtual particles in the Casimir. What does that mean?
Casimir effect. So a Casimir effect is a thing in quantum physics. It's an experiment we can do to detect movement in quantum fields.
Okay. So you're saying that if quantum field nature entails movement, meaning
Yes.
it shows movement?
It's a part of its nature. It doesn't show. It's the thing inside of it.
Okay. So thing inside of it. So you were saying it's in its nature?
Yes.
Okay. So the particle's nature is that it moves.
It's a field. It's not a particle. It's a field.
Okay. So
Thank you
you're
for the
saying
super chat,
that
Charles.
So you're saying that if quantum field nature entails movement, we can detect virtual particles in Casimir. So basically, you're saying there's particles are moving. Is that correct?
Well, no, the field is moving and the field generates particles. So the field is moving and we can see the field itself is moving if it generates particles, and the particles cause two metal slats to push together inside of an effect. So they take two metal beams and they put them into a empty vacuum with nothing in it. They just suck out everything. And then they leave them there, and if there's a field there, and the field generates particles on either side and bumps the metal plates and causes them to connect, then we can see that the field is moving, and the motion in the field pops particles into existence and causes the beams to push together.
Okay. So basically, you're saying that the field moves the particles. Is that it?
No, the field is moving. The field itself is moving and creates the particles. The particles pop out of nothing from the field moving.
Okay, so the field is moving and it's creating the particles.
Yes.
Okay, and then premise 2 is we can detect movement in Casimir effect.
Yes.
What do you mean by this?
We do the experiment and the two plates move together. They hit. We do the experiment, get the result. It happens.
Okay, and your conclusion is quantum field nature entails movement.
Yes.
So you're saying that quantum field causes movement.
Quantum field has movement in its nature.
Okay, in its nature, it has movement.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying the quantum field is causing movement, yes?
It is in its nature. The movement is itself in its nature, like spin, charge, mass. Those things are in the nature, the information within the particle. It is a thing in the nature of the field. It is a part of the field inherently.
Okay, but isn't that in your first premise?
No, this is basic modus ponens. Modus ponens is not circular.
How is this not circular? You assumed here if quantum field nature entails movement.
If is not an assumption. If is this might be the case. So this is not. There's no premise in the conclusion. Modus ponens is not circular reasoning. Google modus ponens. It's literally the basic argument in logic. It is not circular.
Okay.
You want to type out modus ponens?
You're saying
modus ponens. Modus ponens is not circular.
Okay. So you're saying that if hold on a second. So you're saying that if quantum field nature entails movement, we can detect virtual particles in Casimir. We can detect virtual particles in Casimir. Therefore, quantum field entails movement.
Yes.
I don't know, man. It sounds circular to me.
It's oh my God. Modus ponens. If P then Q, P therefore Q. That's modus ponens. If
P,
then Q.
Yeah, your
P,
conclusion, the quantum field entails movement.
No,
you do realize that there are other possibilities in the premise 1, right?
There what? A lot of what?
So basically you assumed that if quantum field nature entails movement, right? So you're assuming that the quantum field itself is entailing movement.
No, we're not assuming that. That's why there's an if there. The if means that this might be the case or it might not be the case. An assumption is saying this is the case. So an assumption would not be an if. An if is the opposite of an assumption.
Okay. Then how is this not circular? Your conclusion is still in your premise.
Oh my God. Modus ponens. If P then Q, P therefore Q. Please Google modus ponens. This is like the basic form of logic, like the first logical argument they teach you in philosophy class that is not circular. They teach you not to use circular arguments. You could just go to the philosophy test thing. There's a Discord they have, is this argument circular or not test, and you can just put in modus ponens to see if it's circular. You don't need to take my word for it. It's not circular. It's modus ponens.
Okay, I understand that. No problem. So you're saying that this is the reason that movement is happening is because of this?
The reason the movement is happening is because it's a part of its nature. It's a thing in the field. It's inherently moving. I mean, if you want a more detailed explanation.
You said if.
Right. So we're saying if this is the case, here is something we will see. We do see this, therefore it is the case.
Yeah, but that's not answering the metaphysical question still.
Yes, it is. Scientific realism, remember, Phil Survey's paper, scientific realism, science does the realism thing. Does answer metaphysical questions.
I don't see
if you
how
want to know
it's,
why is this a part of its nature, it's because quantum field has a randomness variable that affects it, and randomness is a fundamental part of the universe itself, and so randomness affects the field, causing it to have inherent movement.
so, and you're saying that what? So you're saying this is happening without any consciousness, is that right?
Yes, that is the consensus in physics. Quantum fields have nothing to do with consciousness. They work just fine with motion and have nothing to do with consciousness. And space and time are emergent from quantum fields. So space and time came from quantum fields, not consciousness.
Yeah, you are using circular reasoning, man.
Which premise is in the conclusion? Do you want me to make another modus ponens for you?
Like I just showed you, you're appealing to nature. Okay, let me.
That's not circular reasoning.
Imagine. Okay. Let me explain something. Imagine if I asked, why is this phone black? How would you answer it?
Because it absorbs light.
That answers the question, why is it black?
Yeah, because blackness is the absence of light. Blackness is what happens when light does not reflect off of an object.
That doesn't answer why it is black. You
Yes,
realize the question, or do you why is this phone black? You're telling me it's black because of what, like light?
Yes, all colors are a result of light. I don't know why is that? I don't get it.
You're telling me why I see it as light. You're not answering the question that why is it black in the first place?
What?
Like why is it black instead of red?
Are you asking why did someone paint it black?
Yeah, why is it black?
Because someone took a paint color which doesn't reflect light and put the paint color onto the phone.
Anyway, that's not the point.
How better could I answer that question?
The point here is that you're trying to answer why, the why question, with the how question.
What's the why question? Like for the
I'm
not for the phone.
asking you why this phone is black,
field.
And you're telling me how is it black?
Right. So how does that relate to the quantum field?
You're not answering why is it black in the first place. Like for example, you gave me the example of quantum mechanics, right?
Right.
And like my thing is that, okay, fine, no problem. Quantum scientists have different ways of understanding different things, but you're still
none of them entail God,
science,
but yes,
which is limited. And based on that limited understanding, you're saying this answers why there's movement in the first place.
Yes,
it doesn't answer it.
Yes, because that limited understanding is significantly more than any other understanding that any human ever has. So that's the most understanding any human have ever had for any reason. That's the best. There is no better understanding. This is the best understanding. There's nothing greater.
And you're saying that this is based on so it seems like you have a philosophy, which is that what I see from a lot of atheists, which is, and I don't think how, like, I'm trying to understand your position here. Like, are you saying that because science says so, therefore it's true?
Because science says so, it is the most likely to be true.
Okay. Science says so, therefore it's most likely to be true. But I asked you a question that is beyond science or beyond physical. You realize that, right?
No, that's a question answered by science. Science does answer that. Remember, scientific realism, most scientists agree science does describe metaphysical reality. Yes. Most philosophers agree science describes metaphysical reality. Scientific realism, that is what it means.
So how would it answer metaphysical reality? I mean, like, science is limited. You do understand that, right?
You don't need 100% certainty to describe metaphysical reality. You don't need 100% certainty. You can do it without that. You can have evidence. If you have evidence and the evidence is true, it describes reality, you don't need proof. Just evidence is good enough.
Okay, so for example, if I see the way the science work, and I'm simplifying it, is that so it's based on induction, and induction is limited. Like for example, there are a lot of problems in scientific studies. If you study philosophy of science, you will realize this.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
for
there are
example,
lots
there's
of
the problem
problems,
of,
but there are
problem of
less.
induction.
Wait, there are less problems in science than any other
there
method.
are problem of contradictory scientific theories.
That's not a
There
problem.
are problem of yeah, it's a problem.
No, it's not.
Then there you have the problem of explaining evidence based on your own understanding.
That's
Instead
not a
of what the
problem.
evidence
That's
actually says.
not a problem either. None of those.
And
There
ignoring
are
contradictory theories.
Do you want me to actually tell you the problems? Because I can give you the problems. Like, there's a problem of underdetermination. That's a real problem. Gödel's incompleteness
yeah.
theorem. That's a real problem. The
Yes,
problem of
I know
interdetermination. That's a real problem. The theory-laden problem.
Yes.
That's a real problem. None of the things you listed are real problems. I know the real problems in science, but the thing is, science has less problems than anything else. God has more problems. Religion has more problems. Every other human invention or human method has more problems.
That has nothing to do with anything. Like,
Wait. Yes, it does.
What I'm saying.
Remember when I said the example of the thing that works 9 times and fails once compared to the thing that fails 9 times and works once? If science is the most reliable method of
I'm
humans
not using
ever,
religion, dude. I'm using
I
logic.
didn't say you were. That's not the point. I'm saying that if science works better than literally everything else, science is the only reasonable thing to trust. Better than everything else. Doesn't matter if it fails 10% of the time. It fails a lot less than that. It's still better than everything else.
But science presupposes logic, right?
Yes.
You understand that, right?
Yes, science presupposes logic.
So-
All sentences presuppose logic.
Okay, so using logic, I can come to a true conclusion, right?
Sure, hopefully. You can come to a false one using logic too.
Okay. Using science, you can come to a false conclusion, right?
Yes, just less likely to come to a false conclusion than anything else.
Why is it less likely?
Because it works better than everything else.
What makes you think it works better than everything else?
All of the technology we see.
What are you comparing it with?
Religion,
compare it
other
with religion.
ideologies, witchcraft, voodoo, seances,
Like
occults.
religion is faith-based system. It's not like logic. It's
Right,
not
right.
a system of
I'm
logic.
I'm comparing it to every other method humans have come up with to try and know things. Every other method fails. Science works better than every other method humans came up to know anything.
There is no other method that you can compare science with.
I just did. I compared it to religion. I compared it to seances. I compared it to voodoo.
And I said that religion is a faith-based system. Like, you can come to a
Okay.
conclusion whether religion is true or not based on logic, but you can compare that with science.
Sure you can, because religions make testable claims about the universe. Like, I'm assuming you're Muslim. You believe in the Old Testament. The Old Testament says there was a flood. There was a flood,
I
a
don't
global
believe
flood.
in the Old Testament. That's not what Muslims
Oh,
believe.
that's okay. That's fine. But many religions make claims. Like the Quran claim that Muhammad split the moon in half. Like, there are claims that are testable, that are provable false. So religious claims do make claims about reality, and they do make claims about what's true about reality, and they
Yeah,
get
that
it
has
wrong.
nothing to do with science, dude. Like,
Yes,
you're comparing.
Yes, it does. So there's two methods.
You're comparing religion with science.
Yes.
Religion is not making the type of claim that science is making.
Yes, it does. Literally,
Like, religion is a faith-based system. You realize that, right?
It doesn't matter. It's still making claims about reality. So any method.
Why doesn't it matter? What are you talking about?
So any method that makes claims about reality, says this is true about reality, is a system
Yeah.
that's making metaphysical claims about reality, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so one system that can do that and get it right is better than a system that does that and gets it wrong.
No, because one system is something that you come to believe in. It's a faith-based system. Right?
Oh,
You believe it.
that doesn't make a difference.
You believe it. You believe it based on faith. Like, you can
I
come
can-
to the conclusion that whether that religion is true or false based on logic, but this is not something that claims that what is true or false in nature.
Yes,
in
it
terms
does.
of in the same way that science does.
Yes, it does. It just fails. It does make claims about what happens in nature. Like, there are historical claims, there are archaeological claims, there are metaphysical claims, there's claims about cutting the moon in half. There are all kinds of claims about what's happening in nature that we can see, and they're wrong. But science is right.
That's not the point. Like, you're committing what is known as a faulty comparison fallacy. Like, you're comparing science with religion when science has nothing to do with religion.
It's because
And-
science works and religion doesn't. That's the point. Religion is not a
Yeah, you
reliable
keep
way to know
repeating
about the
that.
universe.
Again, I said that science's religion has nothing to do with each other. You're making the comparison. Your comparison doesn't make sense.
Okay, so
Like,
so my
again,
comparison.
let's go back to the argument.
Wait,
we were
my-
going off topic.
wait,
We're
wait.
going off topic.
One sec.
Let's
You
go
said my
back to the-
comparison doesn't make sense. So I want to make sure. My comparison is these are both things that make claims about reality. That's the comparison. Do they both do that? Do science and religion both claim to know things about reality?
No,
Yes.
the
yes.
claims that religion makes has nothing to do with the way that science makes claims.
I don't care about the way. Do they both claim to make true statements about reality? Does science make claims about reality? Yes. Does religion make claims about reality? Yes.
Yes, they do. And religion is based on faith. Science
That's
is
fine.
not based
That's
on
fine.
faith, is it?
I don't care what it's based on.
Is
I want
science
to know
based
what
on faith?
works.
No,
You can-
is science based on
like,
faith?
let me give you an example. So if I said I believe in God and I
Answer my
believe
question. Is science based on faith?
no,
Then why are you comparing it?
because I don't care about what it's based on. I care about the results. So they both make a claim about reality. That's the comparison. They
Why
claim,
does it matter what the results are? Like if
because
they're-
that's how you
their
know if they're
main-
right. That's, so
If
so
the
like,
main thing is completely different, then you can compare the two.
yes, you can. I'll give you an example. So let's say I believe in God and I believe with Him on faith, just on faith. I say if
Again,
God
we're
exists.
going off topic. Let's go back to the
Wait,
main argument.
Just let me finish my analogy just real quick. So if I believe in God, I pray for a gold brick, He gives me a gold brick because I have faith in Him. That works. So I can have faith and it can work and demonstrate something about reality, even though I have faith. So whether it's by faith or by novel prediction, you can still have results. The results are what matter, not whether it's by faith or by scientific methodological methods. What matters is the results. Religion has no results. Science has all the results. Okay, you want to
Yeah,
get back on
just
topic.
because it gives the result doesn't mean it's true.
The most likely to be true. The only one that's reasonable to believe.
It doesn't matter if it's most likely to be true. Just because it gives results doesn't mean it's true.
It does matter if it's the most likely to be true. That's literally the only thing that matters is what is the most likely to be true.
Again, we're going off topic. Like you're going on a tangent on like science and like religion, but we're avoiding the main topic. So let's go back to the main topic, which was that I asked you a question, which is regarding the two chairs, and you said that there are particles that are moving,
Yes.
which again goes back to the same problem. How do you know this is moving by themselves instead of being moved by something else?
I gave you the argument.
some
I
kind
gave
of
you the modus
constantly.
ponens argument there. That's where we got into like this is not circular.
and yeah. Again, it's based on the idea that it is in the nature of quantum field
Yes.
for them to move by themselves, right?
Yes, that's what the evidence indicates. Yes.
That's not what the evidence indicates. That's what the scientists think.
No, that's what the evidence indicates. The reason they think that is because they've done the experiments called the Casimir Effect, which is a test they do in a lab, which is empirically verifiable and has been repeated to show that they literally do this.
Yes, I know that they do this, but the point is like you're still avoiding the question.
What? How am I avoiding the question? I'm literally answering the question. Quantum fields move. They move on their own. They do that. So the
They
chairs
move
are
on
moving.
their own. They move on their own.
Yes. And chairs are
And how
made
do
of
you know
quantum
this?
fields, therefore chairs move.
Yeah. So you're saying that the quantum field, but the thing is, I didn't ask questions about the quantum field.
Well,
I asked about movement in general, right?
yes. So like chairs are made of quantum fields. That's why I brought it up, because the chairs are made of quantum fields. And so if the quantum fields are moving, the chairs are also moving.
Okay, so, and you said that quantum fields is moving by itself.
By its nature, yes.
And how do you know that?
Because the Casimir effect proved it.
Casimir effect doesn't prove that it moving by itself. You just
Yeah, that's
see it based on-
literally what it's doing. So Casimir effect is proving that virtual particles are a result of fluctuations in quantum fields moving. That is literally what it does.
Okay, so you did exactly what I thought you would, which is that you're appealing to nature to explain.
Of course, I'm appealing to
And-
nature. That's where you get evidence,
Yeah, but I asked you like a metaphysical question.
which is also
And-
nature. Nature is metaphysical.
Yeah, I asked you a question regarding nature.
Which is
I asked you a
metaphysical.
metaphysical question as to why their movement in the first place, and you appeal to quantum mechanics, okay,
Yes.
to explain why things are moving in nature,
Yes.
and without explaining why this is happening in the first place.
Part of its nature. I did
Right.
that. I did that too. It's part of its nature.
How do you know it's part of its nature and not
Because it was
being done
proved
by
in the
conscious being?
Casimir effect. We demonstrated it in a lab.
Yeah, just because you demonstrated something in a lab doesn't mean there's no involvement of like conscious being. Because the thing is that, like, again, we go back to the same thing.
That's
there
called
be
a
movement?
burden of proof fallacy. So you're saying you haven't proved me wrong, therefore I'm not wrong. That's a burden of proof fallacy. The burden of proof is on you to demonstrate the mind is required, not for us to disprove it. We've proven our hypothesis with evidence. You have provided none. You're just claiming we haven't disproved you.
No, the burden of proof is on you because
Yeah,
you're
I've
the
already
one who
demonstrated it.
claims-
Casimir effect. Casimir effect demonstrates the burden of proof. We've done it. We've provided evidence. You have not.
That's less like me saying if I drop the phone, it's dropping on its own and there's nothing else to it.
No, novel testable predictions are when we
That's
predict.
tautology, like
No.
like
So
that's literally what you're saying.
no. You're picking something we already know and saying if we do this thing I already know, then I will say there's a new phenomenon
Yeah,
in the world.
and in
That's
quantum mechanics,
not
they're
evidence.
they're
That's
doing the same
not
thing.
evidence. No. What we're doing is we're saying
In
here is
quantum
a
mechanics, they're doing the
wait. Let
same
me
thing.
explain. Let me explain. So here is a complete.
they're looking
wait.
at
Let me
something
let me
based on what
answer
they
the
already
question.
know,
Let me
and
answer the
coming
question.
to
Let me
conclusion
answer the
based on what they
question.
already know.
Holy shit! Let me answer the
Without-
question. Stop. So
Okay.
there's a difference. Your example is like picking up the phone and dropping it is something we already know will happen. So it is not evidence of anything new. It's something we already know. If we predict a completely new phenomenon that no one's ever seen before, like the Casimir effect, and say, this is a result of this phenomenon, which is in our theoretical framework, and say, so if we see this, this means the theoretical framework demonstrates reality, then that's a good reason to believe the theoretical framework. That's a good reason to say there's a new phenomenon because we've discovered a new phenomenon.
Yeah, basically you're coming up with an idea, right?
It's a theory.
And then you're proving, testing the idea,
Yes.
and then you're trying to claim that now proves the idea. Is that
Yes. So if we have a theory, if the theory is correct, here's what we expect to see. We do the test. If we see what we expect to see, that's evidence of the theory. Yes, that's how science works.
right? Okay, so then how does that disprove like? how is
Burden of
it not
proof fallacy.
circular?
We don't need to
How
disprove.
is it not circular then?
Burden of
How
proof
is that not
fallacy. So,
circular?
oh my God. So if I have a theory and I give evidence for it, my theory's here. Now your theory is here. I don't need to disprove this. You've provided no evidence. This theory wins. This theory loses. So I don't need to disprove your theory. You need to provide evidence to bring it up to my level. My better evidence, the Casimir effects, beats your theory.
Yeah.
Your theory is just done. It's dead in the dirt because mine has evidence, yours doesn't. I don't need to disprove your theory. You need to provide evidence to bring it to my level, and you haven't.
Okay, what other theories are there? Alternative theories
Of what?
in quantum mechanics?
None. They all.
Other
Every
than this
single one
theory.
of them agrees on this. Every single one of them agrees that the Casimir effect is a thing. It's literally something we demonstrate. They all agree on that. Every single one of them.
Okay, so how do you know it's true or false?
Because there's evidence. It makes novel testable predictions which have been confirmed, testably, repeatably, falsifiably.
Yeah, I know that, but so basically, you're coming up with you used a theory or
Yes.
hypothesis,
Yes.
and then you test that theory,
Yes.
and then come to a conclusion
Yes.
without any way to like either test whether an alternative is possible or not. Like,
The alternative, if you have an alternative, you can make an alternative test. None of them have worked. That's why there aren't any, because this one works. The other ones failed. The ether theory failed, so it was thrown away. The general relativity and quantum gravity theory, because general relativity doesn't work in quantum
yeah,
gravity,
but
doesn't work.
The point I was trying to make is that, like, even if this is the case, that you're making the theory based on limited evidence, right?
Lots of evidence, but yes, it's not infinite. It is a finite number that is bigger than all other evidence for any other hypothesis.
Okay, so that is all based on naturalism, right? Materialism, right?
No, it's not based on naturalism. There are many people who are dualists and idealists who are working in the field. It's not based on naturalism.
Okay. Okay, but it's based on material things, yes?
Based on novel testable predictions, which may or may not be material. It doesn't make any difference to materialism. We look at the material things.
Okay, yeah, I know that. So you're coming up, so basically you're using materialism
No.
and then coming up with a theory based on materialism,
No.
and testing it based on materialism,
No.
and then coming to a conclusion based on materialism.
No, in physics,
Going in a circle.
in the Phil Surveys paper and in the Fundamental Attitudes of Physics paper, there are 5% of physicists are idealists. They believe in consciousness is fundamental. There's no physical
That's
stuff.
irrelevant.
Wait.
Like,
So
I don't see.
they agree. They agree the Casimir effect is real. They agree quantum fields are inherently random. This is not about materialism. The dualists and the idealists also agree with everything I've said here. This is not, there's no materialist bias. There's no presupposing of materialism. There's no scientism. The idealists agree with the materialists on this topic.
Okay, so the way I see it is that like you're again doing the same thing, which is you did before.
Using
which is
logic and
that
evidence
you-
and science? Yes.
No, you you used a nature to prove nature.
That's not a fallacy. That's not logically fallacious. You
Yeah,
can
but
do
that's
that.
not that doesn't really answer my question, which is that why is there movement in the first place? I mean, you're saying that it's happening because of quantum mechanics.
Yes.
There are quantum waves because of quantum waves, and I just asked you like
Fields,
why
yes.
is quantum wave moving then in the first place?
Kind of its nature, yes.
So that again, that's circular.
No, it's not. Which premise is in the conclusion? Do you want me to write out another modus ponens for you, and you can try to identify which premise is in the conclusion?
Because you're saying it's in its nature. How do you know it's in its nature and not being done by something else?
Because it was confirmed in experimental data through novel, testable, repeatable, falsifiable predictions,
Yes, based on material and naturalistic things.
based
Again,
on
going in a
observable
circle.
science. Yes, which is evidence. Evidence is good. Evidence, good reason to believe
Yes,
something.
I know. Evidence which is based on nature, and what you can see in nature, and what you can test in nature. And so basically, again, you're basically doing exactly what I said you're doing, which is that
No.
you're looking at nature, and then you're trying to explain something in nature using nature. And I don't see how that answered my question.
So let's say if you wanted to learn how to do something in a video game, how would you do it? Would you play the video game to learn how to do the thing in the video game?
It's to do with a video game, man.
What?
A false analogy.
So let's say you wanted to learn how to do something in a video game. How would you do it? It's a question. How would you do it?
Yeah, you're asking a loaded question. Basically, you want me to like admit, or like you're trying to make a false equivalence between
It's a
video
very
game.
simple question. Like if
No,
I want,
it is a false equivalence because you're trying to use an analogy of the video game to explain what's happening here, which is basically you're using nature to explain nature without actually answering my question, which is the why is there movement in the first place?
well, I already answered that. That's because of its nature, which is demonstrated in the Casimir effect. But I'm addressing your point where you said you keep saying using nature to learn about nature is fallacious when it's not. Like if you want to learn about a video game, you play the video game. So you use the video
I'm
game.
not saying it's fallacious in science. I'm saying it's fallacious if you're using that to understand the metaphysics of it.
Why do you think putting the word metaphysics there changes anything? Circular reasoning has nothing to do with whether or not it's metaphysical
Because
or epistemological
we're
or
trying to understand
ontological.
what's going on beyond the physical, right?
That doesn't affect whether or not it's circular. That changes nothing. Circular reasoning has nothing to do with the scope of the argument. It's circular whether or not it applies to metaphysics or ontology or epistemology. The structure of the argument is the same. It doesn't become circular because it's about metaphysics.
That's not what I'm saying. You're again strawmanning me. Like what I'm saying is that you're basically trying to avoid answering the question, which is what I asked in the beginning.
I literally
Which is
answered it
that why
like
is
20
that-
times.
No, you didn't. You basically use again. You appeal to nature, and
Which
to
isn't a
explain-
problem. That's
No,
if
no,
you
no.
can do that.
Let me explain. So basically, when I asked you the question that why is there movement in the first place, right? I'm asking why there is movement in the first place, and instead of answering the question, you then appeal to nature. You saying that because it's just how it works. That's essentially what
Yes.
you're saying.
Which was demonstrated with experiments that we can show is the case.
Yeah, and that's basically what you're saying. That it's just how it works.
Which can be shown and demonstrated with testable novel predictions, which we can
it doesn't
demonstrate in the
answer
lab.
the question. It doesn't answer the question why there is movement in the first place.
Yeah, yes, it
Because,
does. It was
okay,
always there.
are
It's a
two
part of the
possibilities.
nature of the thing.
Let's talk about the metaphysics of it. There are two possibilities. Either it's moving by itself, which is what you're saying, but you're going in a circle to prove it.
No, there's no circle there. Remember,
And-
modus ponens, not circular. No circle.
You are going in a circle, but
No circle. It's modus ponens. Do you want me to give you another modus ponens? I will give you another modus ponens. And you can try to identify which premise is in the conclusion, and we can laugh because you're not going to be able to do it because it's modus ponens. What do you think of the other option?
Okay,
So first option is moving by itself. I agree. Yes, I think it's moving by itself. What do you think of the other option?
I already proved to you what the other option is.
Well, I was trying to, because
cannot have-
I interrupted you. I wanted to let you finish your statement. You were going to continue by explaining what the other option is. You gave the first one.
Yeah, I gave you the argument that you cannot have movement unless there's some kind of conscious being or intelligent being.
Why do you think
And I give you the thought experiment, which
the chairs?
which you didn't say. Yeah, if there's no prior movement, will the chairs be able to move themselves? And well, I'm not talking about some kind of atomic like movement. Will the chairs be able to move themselves? And you agree that it's not possible.
Right, because the chairs, if chairs were the fundamental part of the universe, then yes, the universe would not be moving. But chairs are not the most fundamental part of the universe. So chairs are a false analogy to the origin of the universe because the universe is not made of tiny little chairs.
Straw man, that's not what I'm saying. That's
Literally
point
what you
of
were saying.
the
Your argument, it
thought
seems like,
experiment.
well,
My point of the thought experiment was to show you, like, how is it possible or logically conceivable that the two chairs can move themselves? It's not.
well,
It's not logically possible.
it is logically possible, but it's not mirologically possible. So it's not in the laws of physics. Chairs don't move themselves, but the universe isn't made of chairs. So there are things that do
That's
move
not
themselves.
what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, I thought your argument was that it seemed like you're making a comparison between because chairs can't move themselves, no material things can move themselves. Therefore, it's unreasonable to think any material thing in the universe could move itself. Something like that. I thought isn't that your argument?
My argument was that no, that's not my argument. My argument was that so basically when we look at nature, we see that there's movement, and usually movement doesn't happen unless there is a conscious being behind it or intelligent being behind it.
Well, we
Now,
don't.
If you want to,
We don't
No,
see
no,
that in
wait, wait.
nature. That's not what we see in nature.
yeah, we do. Like we see people moving things, like for conscious beings moving things,
Yeah.
right? And in nature, I'm trying to explain what's happening in nature.
Well, wait.
Right.
So I want to ask a question about this because all of the movement I see, tornadoes not caused by humans, hurricanes not caused by humans, volcanoes
Yeah,
not
that's
caused
the
by
question.
humans.
That's the question. What is causing that in the first place?
The fields. We can demonstrate what's causing
You're
those. We
again
know
going back
what's
to the
causing
same
those.
circular reasoning. You're
That's
saying
not,
it
that's
is
not
just the way
circular
it
reasoning.
is.
Modus ponens is not circular. No circular reasoning. We can just demonstrate it.
Okay, maybe it's not circular reasoning, but you're still not answering the question.
How is saying it's a fundamental part of the nature of reality not answering the question?
Because I'm asking why this reality is the way it is. Like, I mean, I'm asking why, like, for example, like, let's say that the Earth moves a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, if I'm asking, like, why is it moving in the first place? And you're telling me, oh, it's because the laws of nature, et cetera, which is based on, your empiricism and your understanding of the universe, which is again based on what you see and what you observe, which is limited, right?
So evidence.
you're not
Yes, we
actually
use evidence.
So you're not actually answering the question because you're using the thing to.
Well, you're confusing.
explain the thing.
I think it seems like you're confusing epistemology and ontology. So, ontology, metaphysics, ontology is a branch of metaphysics, is the answer to what reality is, what exists. We can say quantum fields exist. Quantum fields are fundamentally moving. That's existing question. And then you're saying, oh, but the way you know that, the epistemology, is not 100% knowledge perfect. Well, that doesn't matter. I can still answer the question and say reality is made of quantum fields which fundamentally move, and that is a description of reality regardless of the method. The method is a different question. The epistemology that leads me to the ontology is independent of the ontology. So I have answered your question, and I told you how I got there, and I used a reliable method to do it. I don't see the problem here. You just keep saying, well, you don't have 100% certainty, which you don't need. You don't need 100% certainty for knowledge. It's called fallibilism. It's the consensus in science and philosophy. You do not need 100% certainty for knowledge.
It's not about knowledge. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, you keep asking, how did you get there? How did you get there is a knowledge question. It's epistemology. How did you get to this knowledge, correct?
That has nothing to do with what I said. I gave you a thought experiment, and I asked you the question can the chairs move themselves? And you're saying that they can move themselves, basically. That's what you're saying.
Well, the particles move. The chairs don't. The chairs, there's a hole, doesn't move. So I can grant chairs don't move on their own. Chairs don't move themselves. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So there has to be some kind of conscious being for them to move, right?
No, that's called a hasty generalization fallacy. The fact that one physical object does not move itself does not mean that all physical objects do not move themselves. That seems to be what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that my argument was that, and it was very specific, was that it is unlikely.
Could you run it into a premise conclusion for me? Because I'm pretty sure I understood your argument. And so help me out here. It seems like what you're saying is that a chair is a physical object, and the physical object does not move. Therefore, no physical objects move themselves, and you need a consciousness.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, could you write it out for me? Give me premise, conclusion.
Let me show you the argument. Okay, so let me share the screen. Oh, hold on. Okay, so this is my argument. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Can you read it? Okay, so let me read it. It is highly unlikely for there to be movement with a consciousness.
All right, let's start with that one. So okay. Why is it highly unlikely for there to be movement without consciousness? Because I look at the universe, most movement exists without consciousness. Other stars move, other planets move.
Yes.
So it seems like it's highly likely that movement exists without consciousness.
That's what I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to explain why this is happening in the first place.
No. My question is premise one seems false. Premise one is false, or I'm challenging premise one. I'm saying premise one is wrong. Most movement exists without consciousness. So why do you think?
No. It's based on the thought experiment, right? It's highly unlikely that there to be movement with a consciousness or will. Unlikely. And I'm basing this based on the thought experiment. Okay.
So just could you use? I'm looking for an argument of the thought experiment. The thought experiment argument, not this argument. I want the thought experiment. It seems like premise one, chairs don't move.
No. Let me explain my thought experiment. My thought experiment was this. First of all, let's imagine an alternate universe where you have two chairs and there's no movement. No prior movement. It's not that there is no possibility of a movement. There is possibility of a movement, but there's no movement. Okay.
Thank you for super chat, Dustin. Appreciate it.
So there's no possibility of a movement, and so can there be movement in a situation like this?
No, because you just said there's no possibility of movement.
No possibility. No, I'm not saying no. I said that there is possibility of a movement, but there is no prior movement, right?
Wait, what? I don't understand what that means.
So what I'm saying is that there is no prior movement, but there is possibility of movement, right?
Okay.
Things can move, but there's no movement. Like there's no prior movement.
Okay.
So there's no prior movement, and these two chairs are there for, let's say, for an eternity. Is it logically conceivable for these chairs to move by themselves?
No.
That's the question.
Let's go with no for the sake of the argument.
Okay. So based on this, we can say that it's unlikely for
wait. So this is where I'm getting lost here. You say, let's imagine a universe absolutely nothing like our universe, with only two chairs, with not made of quantum fields, not made of particles, two magical chairs that cannot move. So we're imagining a universe nothing like our universe, and then you're saying,
I'm not saying nothing like our universe.
Well,
I'm
that
just saying
seems
an alternative universe,
which is nothing like ours, because there are no non-moving particles in our universe. All particles are moving. So there's no two stationary chairs anywhere in our universe. All things in our universe are moving. So your analogy is a false analogy because it has nothing to do with our universe.
No. That's not a false analogy, because you're actually committing a fallacy here as well. Basically, you're using the atoms, the movement of the atoms, which is what I'm trying to explain, to explain why the chairs don't move, which doesn't seem to make any sense.
Why? What? So I'm saying that our universe is made of particles. Particles made everything move. They're moving everywhere. Like the Big Bang was just particles. There were no chairs in the Big Bang. There were particles, and the particles were moving.
No, that's not what I was saying. Like, okay, so the chairs themselves cannot move, right?
Right. So just two chairs with no particles cannot move.
Okay. So you're saying the atoms are moving, right?
Yes.
Are the atoms moving by themselves?
Well, they're in the fields, so the fields are moving by themselves. The particles don't move on their own.
Okay, so the field is moving, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is moving the field?
It's a part of its nature. It can't not move. It is a fundamental, necessary part of its nature.
So yeah, again, like I said, you're using circular reasoning.
That's not which premise is in the conclusion. Like, I still want you to explain to me the chair argument. Okay. How does the fact that two unmoving chairs in a hypothetical universe make it unlikely that particles could move on their own in our universe?
It is unlikely because I already said in the thought experiment that
I'm trying to get, how do you go from two chairs can't move? What about that situation makes it unlikely that any physical object could move on its own?
Wait, so are you saying if physical objects can move on their own?
Yes, quantum fields are physical objects and they move on their own.
They move on their own?
Yes.
Okay, so
this is literally answered in the fundamental principles of physics. You can look at the survey. It's one of the questions.
I know that. But so basically you're saying that, but basically you're saying that because, so you're using the quantum, like the particles, to explain why it's likely for the chairs to move?
Chairs are made of particles. Yes.
But that doesn't mean the chairs are moving.
They're made of things that are moving. But again, I don't want you to keep going back to this point. I want you to explain to me, how does your analogy, let's just grant your analogy. There are two chairs. Nothing about the chairs is moving. They have no particles. They're not moving at all. Nothing about them is moving. How does that analogy lead to the conclusion? I need an argument. This analogy, the chairs analogy is true. Therefore, this, because of some insert,
this shows that premise. It is unlikely for there to be movement unless there's a conscious being behind it.
How does it do that? Give me an argument of how the two chairs argument leads to the conclusion of premise one.
Take any material things.
Quantum fields.
Quantum fields, again, you're going back to nature, which is what I'm trying to explain.
You said pick any material thing. So I picked quantum fields, which are a material thing, and they move on their own. So it seems like your argument is there are two chairs and the two chairs don't move. Therefore, no physical thing moves on their own.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying
then why did you tell me to pick a physical thing?
Well, you're going back to the quantum mechanics thing, right?
Yes, because it's a physical thing. Quantum mechanics is made of physical things too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to explain. Like, I'm trying to understand why that movement is happening in the first place.
Because it's a part of its nature. It can't not happen. It is necessarily a part of its nature. Like spin is a part of a particle, like charge and charm are part of particles.
Okay, can this phone move by itself?
Its particles can. The collection doesn't move.
I'm not talking about the particles. Can this phone move by itself?
You're just changing chair to phone and you're not answering my question. How does your analogy of the two chairs lead to the conclusion?
Because nothing in your universe that works like any kind of man-made things or any kind of normal natural things can move on their own unless it has consciousness.
You said like 10 things there. So first thing is no man-made
And
things,
you're giving the example of like the quantum mechanics,
which are
I'm not
physical.
talking about quantum mechanics. I'm not talking about quantum mechanics. I'm talking about how things work in fundamentally in nature, which is a question you're avoiding.
Quantum mechanics is the thing that's fundamental in nature. Secondly, human-made things.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Why is it moving? Like you're
Because
saying
part of its nature. Again, you're not
nature.
answering
How
my
do you know
question.
it's in
You're
its nature and
avoiding the
it's not
question.
being moved by
You're
conscious being.
avoiding the question.
I'm
So
saying I'm showing you evidence for how these
you're
chairs
not
cannot
showing
move
the
by
evidence.
themselves,
You're not.
and
You're
saying
not
that
showing
it is
the
still
evidence.
possible.
You're not
right?
showing the
You're
evidence.
still saying that it's
You're
possible.
not showing me evidence. You cannot explain. You have not explained how your analogy of two chairs leads to the possibility that it is unlikely for any physical thing to have movement. You're
Because
making a
it cannot.
hasty generalization fallacy by comparing.
I'm not making a hasty generalization. Take any material object other than quantum mechanics, like
Do
some
stars
big
move?
Things.
Do planets
Yes.
move?
Yes, that's what I'm
Do
trying to explain.
hurricanes move?
I'm trying to explain the things that move in nature and why they move.
Natural things move all the time
that's what I'm trying to-
on
why
their
they
own.
move.
You don't need chairs.
Okay, so basically you're going back to the same circular reasoning.
There's no circular reasoning there. Which premise is in the conclusion?
Okay, maybe I'm not trying to be explaining it the proper way, but it seems like you are using a type of circular reasoning. But I think it's been going on for a while. My throat is numb. So should we go to the Q&A?
Sure. And can I read mine and you can answer them because they're questions to you mostly.
Okay, sure, please.
Do you have some that you want to go first, or do you want me to start?
No, please send your.
All right. Let's see. Scroll down. Thank you for the super chat, Lin Yin Chen. God does not exist. Existence is a secondary to God. If God exists, then he is effect and not cause of existence. God can't change equal. He has no start nor end. Does God equals does not exist. God is not any mind/brain.
Yeah, I don't understand what that means.
Me neither. Thank you for the super chat, Frank Jones. This guy is circling the debate drain.
Who said that?
Frank Jones.
Okay, Frank Jones, can you explain to me how I'm like doing that? That'd be helpful.
Antipode Cereal, thank you for the super chat. Please keep this guy talking. This is awesome. He enjoys the content.
Sure.
Thank you for the super chat, Cosmic. Best Dunning-Kruger Son for a long time. I don't know what that word means. Thank you for the super chat, Mike.
By the
99.
way, guys, in the chat, do you guys have any question for Tom? You can ask.
Thank you for the super chat, Mike 99. Things are above absolute zero, so atoms vibrate equal moving. I think that's a comment for you. That's just saying that.
What did you say?
Things are above absolute zero, so atoms vibrate equal moving.
Yeah, you're again going back to science, which is I already explained. It's circular.
That's right. That's right, Mike. You're going to science. It's terrible. Don't do that. Charles and Solo, thank you for the super chat.
Don't do that. I'm saying don't go to science to explain metaphysical problems.
Scientific realism. Charles and Solo, thank you for the super chat. How does God affect our shared reality? Thoughts and feelings don't count since they are both imaginary, meaning they only occur within the mind.
Where's the question?
How does God affect our shared reality?
How does God affect our shared reality? I already explained it. Like go back to the beginning and you can see my argument being presented.
I don't think you presented a part where God affected reality in that. Did you?
Yeah, I tried to explain why there's movement in the first place, and I showed like there's two possibilities. One is that either it's being done by a conscious being or it's done by itself, and I showed that there's no evidence because if you use science, that's going in a circle. And so the most logical thing for us to conclude to not fall into this circle is to use external evidence, which is, using consciousness or things that conscious being do, things with a free will. And so most logical option is that it's being done by God rather than not.
All right. Thank you for the super chat. Dustin Ellerby, he just sent a super chat. No questions, just a little emoji thingy. All right. Now my chat is trying to catch up. Scrolling down to the bottom.
Okay, so Brother Hassan has a question for you. Do you realize that just because the universe was released from quantum field does not mean it is the ultimate reality or something? It only means that we can detect its source. Yes, wouldn't that be pantheism?
So could you put the press question back so I can read it again?
Okay, sorry.
I don't know what he means by released. I mean, maybe it's released for, I think I get it. Yeah, so the universe came from quantum fields, yes. Does not mean that the ultimate reality or something. So all of the evidence indicates that it's ultimate reality. So we know that the consensus in physics is that space and time are fields that were created by quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics created space and time. And so space and time is the fundamental thing for all change. That is the consensus in physics. Again, you don't have 100% proof because science never 100% proves everything, but all of the evidence indicates this. It would be a kind of pantheism. It's called naturalistic pantheism. You can Google naturalistic pantheism in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy on the page for pantheism. I believe it's section 9. And it explains naturalistic pantheism is the view that an ontology that includes nothing beyond the scope of science or something like that.
Architect asked you a question. Where do you get your morals from?
I am a moral realist, so I believe in objective morality. Most philosophers are moral realists, and most philosophers are atheists. I believe the Phil Survey's paper said 70% of philosophers are atheists, and 65 or something believe in moral realism. Moral realism is the position that morality is objective. I believe it comes from a law of nature, law of physics, like gravity kind of a thing. There are many different theories. Some is an emergent property, some is a non-natural kind of a law of some kind. I don't really understand that one. Platonic object. There's lots of different versions. But the consensus is in philosophy that God doesn't really work to ground morality, but many natural things could. Mine is an undiscovered law of nature.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes. Thank you for the super chat, Adam Abilia. The tides move in, tides move out. God can't explain that. It's a Bill O'Reilly joke. Kennedy approach, T-Jump. According to him, we can't use science, so how does he know the chairs don't move?
I don't understand the question. What do you mean?
So in your analogy, you say there are two chairs and chairs don't move. Well, how do you know chairs don't move? Well, you'd have to use science to examine the chairs.
I don't understand. No. Because, what I'm doing here is that I'm using the chairs as an example to show that usually material things don't move by themselves. So I think it's very logical to conclude that without the help of conscious beings or intelligent beings, it is unlikely for them to move by themselves. I'm using that to explain how things in nature move. So
thank you for the super chat, Coral. Can you get up and jump around? I mean, I could. Actually, no, I can't. It's CGI. It's only...
by the way, Justice has a question for you. Do you think the universe is contingent or is it necessary?
Well, it depends what you mean by universe, because universe could mean all natural things, which would be necessary, or it could mean just our universe, which would just be contingent. So, I think there's a quantum field which created our universe. Our space-time was created by the quantum field, and the quantum field is necessary. So I think that depends what you mean by universe.
Okay, so Brother Hassan has another question for you. Why are you conflating the philosophical naturalism with methodological naturalism? Just because we don't assert supernatural in science does not mean supernatural doesn't exist.
I'm not. So philosophical naturalism is the position that there is absolutely no supernatural. Methodological naturalism is the position that you start with the current consensus, which is that there isn't any basis to conclude supernatural, but I don't do either of those. So I'm perfectly happy to grant the possibility of the supernatural. You could even show supernatural exists using science if you just made novel testable predictions. Like you could say if I believe in a supernatural friend named Bob who lives in my basement, and Bob will generate gold bricks for me when I ask him to, if you ask Bob and gold bricks appear, that's good evidence of the supernatural named Bob. So I'm not against the supernatural at all. You just need to give evidence for it.
So for you, it's only based on evidence?
Yes, you should only believe things based on evidence. I agree with that. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, Guitar Dog. Actually, where do... What?
But I think I saw you say this in your debate with Amy and Jay. So if you believe that... I think you said something along the line that you should only accept things based on evidence. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any evidence for that? That you should believe things based on evidence?
Yes.
What evidence do you have for that?
That our imagination is very bad, and so we need some way to differentiate imaginary things from real things, and so that's what we use evidence for. And if you don't have evidence, then it's most likely then you have no way to differentiate what you're thinking from it just being imagination.
And you wanted to ask me a question?
Yes, Guitar Dog. Actually, where do you get your morals from? He's asking you.
Well, I'm a Muslim. I get my morals from Quran and Sunnah. And so, yeah.
All right, Lynn.
Brother Jasas asked you a question.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So, quantum field was necessary being that gave rise to the universe, and the universe is ordered, sound, and like God masked in quantum fields.
The quantum fields have no consciousness. They don't have any of the properties of God. So all of the properties of God are things that don't have any evidence. The difference here is that the scientific fields only make theories based off of things that have been verified to exist independent of our imagination. So, for example, string theory and the quantum fields in the multiverse are a combination of two things. One is the Casimir Effect, which I mentioned, and the other is Guth's early universe inflation. Both of those things have been demonstrated empirically. We know they exist. And string theory just combines them. So all of the parts to the quantum fields are combinations of things we know exist and have been demonstrated to be real, where all of the parts to a God have no evidence. There's no evidence of omniscience, omnipotence.
I just gave you evidence. Like,
no, you didn't. But there's no evidence of the God properties. There's lots of evidence of the physics properties, and so it's better to go with the physics properties, because it's like if you want to ask what caused the footprints in the snow, saying it was a horse is a good explanation because we have evidence of horses. Saying it's a unicorn is a bad explanation because there's no evidence of unicorns. So the string theory and quantum physics theories are all based in things we've demonstrated to be real.
Okay. So I have another question. Will you debate Muslim metaphysician or go to the Thought Adventure podcast? I think you went there, right?
Yeah, I've been there once. If he comes on my show, I'd be happy to debate him. I don't know. I think I sent him an email. I don't think he heard back, though.
Okay.
Lin
Do you have
Yin,
any questions for me?
yeah, Lin Yin Chin. Yes, ask him if he likes giant robots. Also my default question.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like,
It's just like
what do you mean by giant robots?
well, anime. You like anime, giant robots? TV shows.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Kennedy Approach. Already asked but not answered. Not that I expect an answer. What was your question, Kennedy? I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think I saw the question.
A Guitar Dog. I did ask you a question. He said he gets his morals from Islam, Islamic God, Allah. Ask him if Islam would work as a global wide required religion, what would happen?
What's the question?
Gonzo Powers asks, ask him if Islam would work as a global wide required religion, what would happen? What would happen if
Global world wide religion?
But yeah, if it was like forced, if it was required for everyone to be Islamic all over the world, what would happen? What would the world look like?
I don't understand the question. Like, is he saying that like everyone becomes a Muslim or what? Like,
yeah, he's saying like if everyone was forced to become Muslim, what would the world look like?
Yeah, everyone can be forced to become a Muslim. That's not allowed. Like forced conversion is not allowed in Islam.
Okay. Truth Begets Heresy. T-Jump, can you please ask him if his God came to him and told him to kill his only son, would he do it, yes or no?
So, like, wait, what did you say?
If God came to you and told you to kill your only son, would you do it?
I don't think God would come to me. Like, I'm not a prophet. Like, so I don't think that's a possibility.
You had a question? You posted.
Oh yeah, I had a question. So quantum mechanics created the universe. Then what created quantum mechanics? And is it possible this cause of it is conscious or unconscious? Plus, if it is an unconscious cause, does it have another cause?
Quantum fields, quantum mechanics is a study of the fields. The quantum fields are uncreated. They are not caused by anything. They are necessary things. They are uncaused, uncreated.
You know this how?
That's what the evidence indicates from our novel predictions that show in the theory that they are uncreated.
Okay. So do you have a question for me?
Yeah, Kennedy says his question was, how does he know chairs move or not? If you can't use science in the natural world, how could you possibly know if chairs move or not?
You can see, you can test it. Like for example, you can put a chair. I can put a chair. I can move it.
That's science.
Like, but if I don't move it, that's not science.
Science is
if I
test
don't
and
move
observation,
it,
isn't it?
I'm using simple logic. Like if I don't move it, right, the possibility of it moving by itself is very, very unlikely. Unless like there's some ghost or something. So yeah, do you have any other question?
Yeah, Bill Pasdu. Ask him, should everybody be afraid of Islam if they are not Muslims?
No. Why would you be afraid of Islam?
Ed Freeze asks.
Wait,
go ahead.
I have a question for you. Is incest moral if there's no harm?
It's amoral. It wouldn't be moral. It'd be amoral.
Okay. Do you have any question for me?
Yeah, Ed Freeze.
I can ask you another one and then we can end it.
Sure. So he's asking, people are forced to join Islam all the time. Why do you think that's not condoned?
No, it's not. Like in Islam, you're not allowed to force someone. Like that wouldn't count as like some kind of conversion.
All right.
There's a Quranic verse that says that you can do that. So.
I got another one for you.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Are you a determinist? And would he say the chair changed from stillness to motion indeterministically?
In physics, no. I don't think there's free will, but I think in physics there's both determinist laws and randomness. Randomness, indeterminacy is a real thing. So in physics, the consensus is that indeterminacy and randomness are real things, and so just a deterministic universe is false. And so, yes, I would say the quantum fields do change indeterministically.
Okay, so I think Hassan has a follow-up question. I think it's related to, yeah, would he have done it?
No.
Do you have any question?
Yes, thank you.
It's the last one.
All right, thank you, Doc Palermo Not, for the super chat. There were 182 Nobel Prizes awarded to Jewish scientists, and only 9 of them were awarded to Muslims. Why the big difference?
Yeah, I think you brought this up in your debate with Brother Minje. I think it's a very bad argument to bring up how many Nobel Prizes people have. I mean, the Nobel Prize Committee has a lot of issues. I mean, most people who have, many journalists have talked about this, that most people, in the case of Nobel Prizes, happen to be white, and in many cases. So, yeah, I don't think it either proves or disproves anything. Like, for example, there are not many Palestinians who have won like Nobel Prizes. It's more to do with like their situation, economic situations, than because they can get educations, and like, so that's definitely a factor. And they're oppressed, obviously, that's another factor. So I think we can end it, right? Do you have any other question, or should we end it?
That's good. I can just keep going with questions all days if you want.
Okay, you can ask me one more question. Do you guys have any question for Tom?
Gonzo asks, ask him if he thinks apostate prophet should be killed. It's a reference to a recent debate with apostate prophet and a different Muslim. I forgot his name. And he said yes to that question. So he's asking you, I think, the same question that was asked to him.
Are you talking about in America or like in like Saudi Arabia or in Islamic country? Like, what is he saying?
I don't. I think like in Islamic law, because he is an apostate prophet, should he be killed?
I mean, if it's in America, then nothing's gonna happen to him. Obviously, he lives in America. But if it's like an Islamic country, then there'll be a trial, and then he could be potentially be killed.
Ali Dawa, that was the name of the guy who was debating.
Do you? I think I had a question here. Okay, architect asked you, ask him, how can he be so sure even though he has biases? I'm not sure the question here.
Well, the whole point of science is to eliminate the biases. So the reason we require novel testable predictions is because what shows you have overcome the biases. All of our biases make it hard for us to tell anything about reality. We're not very good at predicting the future. But if we can come up with a model that can accurately predict the future, then that is a model that is true independent of our biases because it's corresponding to reality. So the reason I can be so sure about the things I believe is because we have models that have been able to accurately predict the future.
Okay, Usman Malik asked you a question, I think. It's for you. No, it's not me. Quantum mechanics is uncaused, then how can you prove the existence of God? It is possible. Quantum mechanics is just another one of the unconscious cause. How would you explain this? I already talked about this. Basically, we're trying to explain. I mean, the question is what's causing like things like quantum mechanics or things like laws of physics, right? These are the questions, like what is causing it in the first place? So you can use that, what's happening there, and say that that's all there is. Like that's not, you're not really answering the question. That's the point.
Thank you for the super chat, Adam Abilia. How many moves can the unmoved prime mover move if the unmoved prime mover could be moved by self move?
Yeah, it sounds like a poem rather than a question.
Brother Ben clarified Brother Ben wanted to clarify his question. Should Muslims be killed for apostasy or speaking out against the dominant religion in Christian countries?
Christian countries? I don't know, does the country have laws? Because I know that in the Bible you have apostasy laws. So I don't know how that works, but regardless. Thank you, Tom, for joining me. It was an interesting conversation. We can do this another time, maybe.
Sure.
And yeah.
Thanks for coming on. It was really entertaining. I appreciate the invite. It was nice meeting you.
Sure, of course. So yeah, guys, end of the stream. I'm going to remove you now, Tom. So goodbye.
See you later. I'll start the after show. I'm going to go to Discord. Guys in the chat. See you guys later.
Sure. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry.
Da-na-na-na. Da-na. Da-na-na-na-na. All right. Cam link. Yep. Deactivate. Activate. Done. Da-na-na-na-na. Oh, God. Didn't mean to do that. Move you over here. Join the stage. Da-da-da. I'll always go to after show. At everyone after show time. All right. If anybody wants to chat, come to the after show in the Discord. Feel free to hang out, ask questions, talk about the previous debate or any other debates you're interested in. Read the questions in the chat. Sunday church service, excellent. Exactly. This is Church of Atheism. Atheist church service time. That is correct. Correct, Jen. Please explain gold brick prediction. Okay, so the way evidence works is that if you have a prediction, have a hypothesis, if my hypothesis is true, here's something we would expect to see, do an experiment, get the result, then it's evidence of the hypothesis. So it doesn't matter what your hypothesis is. If you have a hypothesis that, like, you have a magical friend named Bob in your basement, and if you have a magical friend named Bob in your basement and you pray to him and he will give you a gold brick, and you pray to him and a gold brick appears and it happens over and over and over again, that would be good evidence of the supernatural Bob. So if you get novel testable predictions, that is evidence of the supernatural. Farida D, what's an example of lying not being harmful? Your butt looks not fat in those jeans. The Jews are not in my basement. Do I think the N-word is amoral? Yes, I think that it's politically way overblown that the N-word is seen is so negatively. I think it's ridiculous how people can be so obsessed over words. I don't think that there should be any words that should just be seen as immoral words. I think it's stupid. So no, there are technically, yes, the N-word is amoral. It is not moral. It is not immoral. It is just a word. We need to get Bob. He keeps devaluing the price of gold. That's a good thing. We totally need to devalue the price of gold. Even with the hard R? I don't know what that means. Hard R. Yes, even with the hard R. I think that even just saying the word as it's originally written in the dictionary should not be considered immoral. It's just a word. Like, just get over it. Sticks and stones, as Woody Woodpecker says. Woody Woodpecker. It's like people are way too sensitive to words. Well, the meaning of the Kennedy, you're right that the meaning depends on the context, but the morality doesn't. The morality doesn't depend on the context because the words can't ever deliberately hurt anybody. They're just words. Then why call it the N-word and not just say it? Because YouTube doesn't agree, Bill. YouTube does not agree with my policy. So I would like to keep my YouTube channel and my Patreon, so that's why. I think that they all should have the same policy, but they currently don't. Words must not be used as a means to deplatform and destroy those who use them. Yes, typically, I agree. Lin Yin Chin. There are some words who I think are bad, like advocating for violence, I think is words that you could genuinely be deplatformed for, or like slander, or like giving away trade secrets or something. But yeah, just the N-word is not something anybody should be deplatformed for. Like, it should have no impact. James Earl, how is it even possible to say something is not moving when everything is relative? Yeah, I don't think it's possible for something to not move. I think that was a really weird example he used. It's very strange for him to try to come up with an example where nothing is moving. Agreed, but do you regularly say it? Would it be cool if it is yes? Yes, I do actually say the N-word quite a bit when I'm like angry and losing at chess. It's a very cathartic thing. Like, there are a number of studies that show that cursing actually decreases your sensitivity to pain and stress. So cursing actually makes you feel less pain. And cursing is one of the ways that's helped me to overcome my depression, cope with depression. And so when you're really angry and you say very naughty words, it decreases your pain. Yes, Adam, exactly. The N-word is and alike is postmodern blasphemy. Correct. There's sacrosanct ideas which must not be questioned. You say it in League. Just don't say it on the mic, you get banned. But yeah. When someone says N-word, I automatically translate it to what it really means. Am I racist? What it really means. I don't know what it really means. I don't get why bad words are bleeped at all. Is the bleep less offensive? I think it's more like, think of the children. Like, if you bleep the words, kids are less likely to adopt the words, I think is the rationale of why they're bleeped. The point is to make sure that young kids don't start picking them up and saying them in schools and spreading them more often, I think is the goal of bleeping the words. Is there a word that is actually immoral? Backstreet Boys, I believe that one. Boy bands, I think is the closest to an actually immoral word that there is. Lin Yinchin, my 71 IQ feels like it dropped to 69 after exposure to that guy saying he does not understand the value of giant robots. Robeeb, how's it going? Has the bleeping in Afterthought been effective? Sort of. Like, bleeping has the effect that it doesn't propagate language as quickly. So it does have some effect. It is moderately effective. Holy shit, you're offending me with Backstreet Boys. I agree. Bleep that out. You gotta bleep that out. Yes, Frank Zappa. Good lead singer for whatever that really famous band was. They're just words. This quote, he's correct. Frank Zappa was an atheist. Was that Led Zeppelin? I don't know. Adam Abelia says bleeping words have two goals. One is young kids won't be affected by it, and two is that grown-up kids won't be triggered by it. Reminds me of that quote. I forget what it was. Some dictionary was being written, and the lady wrote in to say to compliment the dictionary guy for not including curse words, and then the guy wrote back, said, "I compliment you for knowing how to look them up." EOTG applied apologetics. You smoked him. Will you continue debating more Muslims? You debated 3 in 3 weeks ago. I guess so. It depends on when they show up. Like, I was invited to debate most of them, so as long as people keep setting me up debates with them, I definitely will. Why using words? Why can't we say if? It's not a word. George Carlin, 7 dirty words. George Carlin was a good guy, also an atheist. YouTube should create a way to block all the words that they don't like in all chat rooms. They do have that, but people usually just change like one of the letters, like change an I to a 1 or add dots or whatever. But they do have that. Thank you for the subscribe, Fernie. Don't save. Going back to the chat. T-Jump debate versus Darth and G-Man at the same time. and Godless Girl and Jay Dyer, like 4 versus 1. That'll just be pain. T-Jump, are you a determinist? Yes, I am a determinist in the case of free will, where I think that all of our choices are determined, but I am not a determinist in the case of physics. In physics, I think there are indeterminate random forces. Make chat blocker smarter.
Hello.
Hey, God, how's it going?
Oh, I don't know.
Trey Jadlaw and Smokey versus T-Jump. That would be painful, too.
I'm bored.
Why is there no one in the after show? Are people all busy or something?
You got a big whack them down there below with your favorite admin in general. You are the server owner. You can move people, you know.
Where is Godless? I think Godless is on Clubhouse now. I think she is hanging out on Clubhouse.
Yeah, she does.
Banana Republic, will we ever get a T-Jump versus Matt Dillahunty debate on trans issues or any topic on that matter, or will he not debate you anymore? I don't know. Don said he was going to ask. I'm not sure. Like, I haven't reached out to him to ask if he'd do that. Javier Jara, Tom, if I put metaphysical in front of anything in a debate, do I win? Yes, that is the magic. Just put metaphysical in there. How much could I pay you right now to debate you IRL? To debate depends. Like, if I have to fly there, you got to pay for the ticket and the hotel prices. But other than that, I think it's like not much. But yeah, if you want to set up an IRL debate, let me know. Give me the plane ticket and shit.
Don't forget about the quarantine times.
Those don't really affect anything. Like, I've been able to travel everywhere in the country.
Oh, within the country, yeah. Oh, I thought you meant international.
How much do I get, like, for a live debate? I think the least for like the modern day debate ones, I'm usually just like $50, but the least I've been paid is like $50. The most I've been paid is like $1,500. Where can I get the exact chair you have? What is it called? My chair is called a Lazy Boy Crandell recliner. You just Google that. They're not made anymore by Lazy Boy, but you can still buy them on like eBay and shops that still have it. It's the Tom O'Lounger 6900 available on Yamama. It's one of those chairs that doesn't move by itself. Lies. I should have said that, like, my chair moves on its own just fine. I'll move this over here. Easier to see shit.
I don't know, man. Do you feel like it's like having good conversations, like a net win, and having like the one you just had is like minus points or something?
No, kind of the other way around. So the dumpster fire is like the one I just had. You usually get the most views. So those are actually better overall.
I gotcha. Hey, whatever works. I was watching a bit, but that guy, I was getting like, I don't know what ailment I was getting, but it wasn't a good one.
Your modus ponens is circular.
What?
The earth is flat.
Yeah, but what frustrates me is like someone like that, like why couldn't he just back off and say, interesting what you're saying about when it started with the hard problem of consciousness, because he was quoting Chalmers, you quote Chalmers, and then he's quoting Chalmers by that crazy guy Enya or whatever his name is. And it's
Ignore.
like, why can't people be a little fucking humble and just say, well, let's talk about this rather than it's just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the Muslim debaters are very, very pedantic and focused on anything they can get in a debate where you think, oh, I think you're wrong about this one tiny little word usage, and then debate that stuff. I think that's one of the problems with the Muslim debaters is that they're way, way too pedantic on the small stuff that is completely irrelevant.
So I'm going to get you into a debate with
why wouldn't
physicists.
Dennis Bailey? Why wouldn't Dillahanty debate me? Because Dillahanty does not like my debates. Yeah, he called me transphobic and bigoted, I think.
Still, though, even with that, someone like, right, you and Dillahanty have some disagreements. Wouldn't it be better just for him to take the view, let's just fucking talk it out? I mean, maybe we're not going to agree, but let's just talk it out rather than draw the line and say, no, he's a fucking whatever.
Well, I've never like specifically asked him if to talk about it, so I don't know if there's like, I don't know if he's drawn a line like that or anything.
Hope not. Too many lines. Too much sand, too many lines. Not enough time. Or something like that.
Oh, 432. Mine is a custom coat. It's not painted. It's made of suede, so it has a different material. It's not cocoa color. It's literally just made of suede, and so it's a custom. What's fabric? It's a custom fabric. This is actually, it's a custom Lazy Boy chair, so it's not a regular one. It's a custom one.
It doesn't have mixed fabrics, does it? Because that's not biblical. You know that?
Not biblical. It's suede. It's pure suede.
Okay. Suede. Why? Okay. All right. I was just checking. Yeah, you can actually get that inspected in New York, like with the microscopic.
Suede Lazy Boy. Is that what I'm hearing that thing is?
Yep. Because I can't.
Damn.
I used to have a pure leather one. It was like a very dark burgundy leather, which I liked. But the problem with that kind of leather in Minnesota is it gets super, super cold or super, super hot. So like if you wake up in the morning and you touch it with your skin, it's just ice cold. But suede doesn't get cold like that. Suede is always a nice, comfy room temp. That's why I needed suede.
Yeah. Damn. That'd be an awesome chair. No wonder you got the right chair.
Yep.
Congratulate you on picking the Bush best chair you got.
Ryan Lyon, it was funny when Alex Stein made fun of your chair. Yes, Alex Stein is a pretty funny guy. I like Alex Stein a lot. He's very funny. He's a good comedian, a good showman. He's quite hilarious.
Do you remember the director for Lord of the Rings? He had that chair carried everywhere. An old recliner.
James Earl, this is a good question. Modern philosophers use the ship of Theseus to describe this, but in the future it'll be the sofa of TJump. He will replace parts as they are needed. The right chair for the job. Ryan Lyon, Alex does a good Tucker Carlson for sure. Yeah, he does. He is like a baby Tucker. Thanks, Dennis. Dennis Bailey. Dillahanty got me interested in philosophy, but TJump is more my speed. I like it. TJump, what is your goal if you have no interest in the Bible and storytelling? What is my goal? My goal is money and hot blondes. That's my goal. How much for a live playthrough of your adventure game right now? Would love to hear your narration walkthrough. My what? Adventure game? Live playthrough of your adventure game. Oh, you mean the game I was playing yesterday? Far Cry 6? I guess so. I would send me money and I'll do stuff. I don't know what exactly you want, but I'll do it for money.
Narrated walkthrough of Far Cry 6?
I guess so. I think that's what he means by adventure game.
That might actually be worth watching just for the lulls.
Jojo, would that be the goal of the blonde woman? Yes. Yes, that is the goal. The C64 game. C64 game. See, I don't know what that means.
Commodore 64, C64. 1980s game.
I don't know what that's. I don't think that's what he's. Is that what he's referring to?
Yeah, C64 is Commodore 64.
If you buy me the game and pay me to play it, I will play it and narrate it. Do you think you will ever achieve your T-jump? You mean my goal? Sort of. I already have. Like, I'm currently dating a very, very attractive woman. So yes, I have achieved it. I've been achieving it for the past 6 months. Jay, I don't know what you're talking about, Jay. I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. But just send me like a detailed guide on the words you're using. Oh, the vid he made. Oh, got it. I didn't know what game that was. I got it. Yeah, I could do that. Got it. That makes sense. Gonzo, what is the last supernatural thing you held onto before becoming an atheist? The Christian God, most likely. Church will be the end goal. The Church of T-Jump is a step, but it wouldn't be the end goal, because my end goal would be to make more of an economic impact, because my goal would be to replace a bunch of crappy capitalist companies that I don't like, because I want to make a bank, I want to make a credit card company, a credit score company, payday loan company, housing. I want to do apartment buildings, insurance, health insurance, and like housing insurance, car insurance, sell cars, replace car dealerships because they're garbage. There's a lot of companies I'd like to start as a part of the atheist church and just replace the crappy policies that the capitalist system has and make them good policies and just make a better company. So there's a lot I'd like to do there. Gazebre, what cryptos do I have? I don't have any right now. I don't have any cryptos. I sold all my cryptos. I understand what you mean now, Jay. It was the playthrough part that was tripping me up. I was thinking like video game playthrough. Push real money is in starting a religion. Dude, Gonzo, that's my goal. I'm trying to start a religion. That is the purpose, the atheist religion. Oh, really? I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to buy again. I don't think so. I think I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer. I want Bitcoin to drop to like 20K. Thank you for the super chat, Matthew. You're awesome. I love you, Matthew. Hot Blonde Fund. You waiting for that war dip? Yes, that is exactly right. I am waiting for a big dip. I want a big dip, and I'm probably going to put all my stuff into VOO, Vanguard Index Fund. Atheism crypto. Yes, I would love to make an atheism crypto. As soon as we get the atheist church started, I want to make a currency and make it independent of the garbage American currency. And then once the American dollar crashes, we can take over the world. Love it. Kennedy approach. What should I believe for the atheist religion? I just have the objective morality. So the only thing required is my objective morality, where it says that the best of all possible worlds is one where it's physically impossible to force anyone to do anything they don't consent to doing. That's the only requirement. Or it's not even a requirement, it's just the foundation of the church. Maybe for 10K subs, sing a song for Darth Dawkins, Batman, and all the funniest adversaries. Somebody else scripts it. That's a lot of work, like writing a song. Atheism for the takeover. Matthew Lanza, Matt was here. Pen.
T-Jump, can I ask you something?
Sure.
How come like religion doesn't seem to meet the atheism doesn't seem to meet the criteria of religion when you look up the definition.
I'm not sure what you mean. Lots of religions don't have gods.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just look it up, and it's just, from the dictionary, it says the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods.
So a superhuman controlling power would be laws of physics. It's fine, but there are lots of religions that don't have that, like Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism. You don't need that. Also, there are also already atheist religions all over the world. Like the atheist church is a thing in many countries already.
So it seems like you hear theists speak of atheist religions like in a negative context, ironically.
Yep.
That it's negative for them, and like they say that we have to have faith, kind of a thing.
Yep. I want to take their parody and make it into a real thing. I want to make the atheist religion because they make that argument, just because it would be hilarious. I'd be like, you have a religion. I'm like, yeah, we do, and it's better than yours. That is going to be the best response ever.
Okay.
TJ, are you a prophet? Which religious books did prophesy you? The book of T-Jump. I was prophesied in the book of T-Jump. Book of the Chair. Dennis Bailey, I don't care much for the current U.S. economic system, but haven't thought of a better system. Well, I'm fine with this system. Is the most part. I just think specific companies are not run in the most efficient way. We could run healthcare better. We could run healthcare companies better. We could run car insurance and car sales better. And so I think the problem with the current capitalistic system isn't the model itself necessarily. It's that many of the companies take advantage of the model and don't run the most efficient company they can. And I want to change that. The meaning of life is to extend life into the future and advance consciousness, sort of. Hop on Warzone. Warzone. That's Call of Duty? I'm not a Call of Duty fan. Have you sold any cars? Not like as in a car sales thingy. Dealership, that's it. Dealership. But dealerships have a 10 to 15% markup for no reason. You know how I know that? Because the brand new cars are sold in India for $10,000. So when will the argument of your chair being Satan come up as an argument? That'll be hilarious. The chair is the Antichrist. That'll be great. Kyle Burton is full of shit. Call of Duty is not better than Battlefield. Battlefield is the superior race. Praise the sun. Shoegazer Kyle. Yeah, I'm sort of a Souls fan. Souls is not my favorite because I hate stamina bars. I got all the platinums on all the Souls games, but I hate stamina bars. Have I read the Holy Quran? I've read parts of it. I haven't read the whole thing. What are you opening? Where are you opening your church? Next to the Atheist Experience in Austin? Maybe. Kind of depends. Like where to open the church is dependent on we need a large population of atheists, which means Austin's a good choice. And so that's probably the best place to open it. Also thinking like Georgia, maybe Minnesota, just because I'm here. But atheists next to the Atheist Experience in Austin would be a good choice because there's lots of atheists there.
Hi, Tom. Can I ask a few questions?
Sure, go for it.
The first one was your qualification for joining your Church of Atheism was your adherence to your model of morality.
Sort of.
Would it also be would it be also a good idea to also kind of profess a belief in novel
Adjustable predictions?
Yeah, exactly. Would that also be on the list of things that you...
Well, I would actually run it like a Christian church. Anybody can come for any reason. You don't need to adhere to anything. Just show up.
Yeah. Okay. Another question I had was, when you just a comment you made just after your debate, you said you're a determinist, and you said in terms of human free will, you're a determinist, but in terms of like the laws of physics in the universe, you're not as much. So it just got me thinking. Ultimately, the human brain boils down to the laws of physics as well.
Yep.
Cause and effect, or whatever it might be, or quantum randomness, whatever it might be. So I'm just curious to know, really, where is the breaker between, what's happening as ultimate causation in those two cases? If you're making that distinction, if you understand my question.
Because of the context of the words, they don't mean the same thing. So, like, in the context of the mind, determinism just means you don't have any free will. It has nothing to do with randomness. Randomness is still a kind of determinism. It means your actions are not chosen by you. And so you're still determined, even if it's random. But in the case of physics, determinism means predetermined by physical forces, whereas underdetermined by randomness is also a thing. So in the case of consciousness, determined encapsulates both random and determined forces, where in the context of physics, determined is the opposite of physical forces.
Is it okay? Sorry, is the opposite of physical forces because you mean because behind physical forces in the universe there's something else more fundamental? Is that what you're saying?
No, like randomness itself is a different thing. It actually exists. Like randomness, underdetermined things is a real force in physics, as opposed to like the determined forces like gravity or the weak electromagnetic or whatever.
Right, and that same phenomenon of randomness is not happening within the physics of the human brain.
No, it is. But again, in the context of consciousness, determinism means both randomness and determined forces. Because determinism in the brain means no free will. That's all it means.
Okay, right. Thank you for the response. I'll have to think about that again. One last question. One of the comments that came up, one of the questions that I think you got from one of the super chats from your opponent, and then one of your comments said, "How do you know there isn't consciousness behind the quantum field, the ultimate quantum field? How do you know that the ultimate quantum field is not conscious?"
Because the model that makes the successful prediction says otherwise.
Pardon? Sorry.
Because the model that makes the successful prediction says otherwise. So if you have a different model that makes more successful predictions, that's great, but you would have the burden of proof on that. Otherwise, the current model that makes the most successful predictions is the most reasonable to believe, and it does not say that.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Yep. When you want some actual facts on car biz, let me know. 18 years here and versus no experience. You might want to get some actual evidence. That's an anecdotal fallacy. You see, I have the evidence of the actual papers written on the field that show that many car dealerships have an excessive premium, and that the laws that have been put in place for selling cars in the US are very restrictive, and they don't allow as many ways to sell cars as they should, which overblows the prices to a degree that they shouldn't be overblown. T-Jump, do you think Elon is going to Mars? No. Elon's not. No one's going to Mars. That's such a stupid idea. Not until we get into like massive technological advancements. No one's going to Mars. T-Jump, what are good arguments in favor of an infinite regress? I mean, the argument against an infinite regress is just that it's impossible, but it's not impossible. So that's really the best argument. There's no logical contradiction with an infinite regress. And that's really the only argument that theists bring up against it. So it's not really a problem. Time is a field. It can go in both directions. No problem with infinite regress. Have I had any experience with real world regarding work? any retail or anything by chance. I used to work at a FedEx at the airport unloading planes. My last job was a video game tester for Activision. Before that, I worked at a mail room at a Christian thingy, a Christian organization, packaging Christian pamphlet things. I used to do construction for a private contractor. There might have been a few others in there. So the fallacy is the supposed paper. I mean, the actual papers on the work is like real evidence of economists. I'm not sure. Not sure what you mean there. Yeah, there's nothing special about the Quran. It's anybody could write that. It's not special at all. Rappers can do better, more beautiful work than the Quran. Ryan Lyon, do you want to travel anywhere like Japan or somewhere warm like Thailand? I would love to travel to Japan. I'd love to have debates there. I would love to travel to lots of different places and do debates all over the world. That would be awesome. Just need somebody to pay for it. Kareem Ahmed clearly doesn't know about quantum physics because there is in fact randomness. Harry Potter is better. Yes, Harry Potter is definitely better than the Quran. Harry Potter is the pinnacle of human writing. California. I don't know. I would do debates in California for sure. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Just saw you in the Discord.
Man, it's good. It's how you been?
I'm doing really well. It's kind of stressed lately. My best friend's dad is dying, and my dad lost his job. Those aren't good. But
I hate hearing that.
still, since the past 6 months, no depression. That is good.
I like your keys to handling depression.
Hot blondes are the key. Praise hot blondes. Better than Jesus.
I could say that, but my wife would kill me.
It's because she's a brunette.
Exactly. Puerto Rican brunette, so I die painfully.
Have you gotten any emails back from people?
Nothing back yet. I've sent quite a few out. I want to send some more out and follow-ups.
Wow.
So,
damn.
I'll be honest, the last 10 days, because of what's going on in the real world and my job, I'm a little busy at work.
Oh, wow.
So, still in Florida, but don't know for how much longer.
Huh. Well, maybe you can move to wherever we're going to build the church.
Give me a couple months, and I heard you say Georgia, so I've actually got a place up there already.
Oh,
and I've got
nice.
about 90 acres, so let me know.
Oh, wow. We're just building on your property.
I can get you property real cheap.
Yeah, Don lives there. So that's one of the places for sure. Don and Pasta and the Tang guys. Jojo Freelancer Cup. Are you such a Harry Potter fan? I love Avatar: The Last Airbender much more. Avatar was a really good anime, but it's not a book. Like Harry Potter is the greatest book ever written. Avatar is a really good anime, though. The best American anime, probably.
Hey, Sideshow.
Hey, what's up?
Saying hello. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, like I said, it's been busy the last couple weeks.
Ryan Lyon, you said Slytherin, but I think you're more Ravenclaw, the intelligent house, wit, learning, wisdom. I would be the corrupt, do anything for powerhouse without a doubt. Money and hot blondes. I would
Slytherin.
definitely be Slytherin. I would be potions out the ass, all kinds of potions. You'll have to have an RV park part of the church for my fifth wheel. Sweden would definitely be nice, James Earl, that's for sure. Hot blondes. Build the church in Sweden.
The Church of Hot Blondes.
I feel like if we named the church that, it would have the opposite effect. T-Jump, there is a rumor of a free lot of land in Waco, Texas. I have family there. Free lot of land. Waco's pretty far away from Austin, though. I don't know if that would... Pretty far away. But Waco, if it was free, you could probably get it and sell it because Waco's growing pretty fast. That'd be a decent investment. Free land.
I think he's talking about the lot of land where the charcoal is,
I don't know what that means.
where that cult place burnt down.
Oh, hey,
Branch Davidians.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it if it's free. Legend of Korra was pretty good. It wasn't good as Avatar, the Last Airbender. Inuyasha, I watched that as a kid. One Piece is okay. I kind of got bored with that one. I liked Naruto a lot. Bleach was really good.
Bleach is awesome.
Actually, Dennis, there's a few cities in Texas which are very democratic. Austin is definitely one of them. But yeah, if they're giving away the Branch Davidians like plot of land for free, I'd take it for sure. It's a lot of land. Good place for a cult. Bleach is coming back. Yes, it is, Jax. I have seen that. New season of Bleach.
Awesome. Can't wait for that one.
In my opinion, manga is the same as written word plus pictures. Well, I mean, I think it's mostly the pictures. Like I really like manga because it's the pictures. It's mostly pictures. It's better than written word. Detective Conan, I was never a fan of. I did like Psychopaths. Psychopaths was really good. Cult of the Chair, yes. You have the Atheist Church and the Cult of the Chair. You have to start them both at the same time. That'll be hilarious. New version of Robotech. I don't even know what that is.
That's an old one.
Outlaw Star. I think I saw that, but it was too long ago to remember. I did really like the one with the blonde guy with the pistols. Don't remember what it's called, though. See you later, Roby. That's the name of my vacuum cleaner. You should, TJ, you should put the church right next to Kent Hovind's Dinosaur and Land Rocky Quarry, Science Land. I'd like to visit the Ark Park. But they don't allow streamers, which is weird. So we need to find some subversive way to record the Ark Park.
They call it an iPhone.
Well, they take those away if you're recording. They kick you out. The only free land I know of is not on this planet. That's not true. There are actually, I think, 6 states that are giving away free land in America. So there is definitely free land in America. They're just not really in the most desirable places. You'll never debate William Lane Craig without a PhD? Well, he'll have conversations, though. He won't do formal debates, but he will do conversations. So I'd be fine with that. T-Jump's adventure to Dinoland. Yes. Jay you need to make another one of that. Just do like me exploring the Dino Park, hammering the Kid Hams. Use Google Glass to stream it. That's an interesting idea. That could work. Yeah, they don't allow streaming or recording for any type of video production.
That's because they don't want people seeing just how bad it really is.
Pretty much. How hard is it to get recognized as a religion for tax exemption? Scientology did it by threatening lawsuits. It's not hard to get recognized as a tax exemption. It just takes a long time. Like the application takes like 6 to 9 months. And it's hard to get recognized if you're not already an established ideology. So it's moderately difficult, but not too bad.
Pastafarians.
I got to episode, I don't know, 300 in One Piece. I watched all of Naruto, all like 600 episodes. Dinoland, or as it will be known in the future, Waco 2. Azure establishment, you can change your religion how you want. I don't know what you mean, James. Is your ambition to become a member of the Atheist Horsemen? I mean, I think that'd be cool, Salty Dodger, but my ambition is more money and hot blondes. Watch the Detective Conan movies. I'm not actually a big fan of anime movies. I don't know why, but I prefer them in episode format. Start it with Christianity, then turn it to an atheist religion. I don't know how that would work, because I think you'd have to change the bylaws at that point. But there are atheist churches, so we can definitely get nonprofit status as an atheist organization. That shouldn't be that hard. Are you lifting weights, T-Jump, or going for walks, cycling, maybe when it gets warmer? When it gets warmer, probably. Definitely not right now. What do you think of the principle of indiscernibility of identicals? Well, the principle of indiscernibility of identicals is that if you have two objects that have every single property the same, they're the exact same object. Which I agree with. I don't know. What about land in central PA, hence Silent Hill? My parents live in Pennsylvania for about another month, and they have to move because my dad lost his job. But there are lots of places where there's free or cheap land. The problem is that to build a church, you want to build it either in a place where there's lots of atheists nearby, or a place that is easy to get to? That's really the bigger challenge.
The place that you just mentioned is the place that the ground is actually or on fire. That's where that big underground coal fire is taking place to this day.
The silent what? To this day. What do you mean to this day?
Area or you guys just said the name of that place, but that's where the fire is burning underground continuously.
Fire.
There was a coal fire started, and the coal fire has been burning for decades under this
That
town.
sounds not possible. Like, if it's underground, it doesn't have enough oxygen.
I will find it.
Coal fire underground Pennsylvania town.
Was it somewhere like Centralia or something like that?
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's been burning since the 70s.
Yeah, it's been burning for decades.
Huh.
Half a century.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they said it's going to burn. Well, it could burn for another couple hundred years, I think.
Yeah, it says up to 250 more years.
Oh, is that what it is? That's a good backdrop for the church.
T-Jump, if you watch the movies, I will give you money. I only need 5 to 8 years. Images. I think that some Christian or Muslim spies will go undercover to join the atheist church and infiltrate it to bring it down from within. Well, I mean, it's going to be open to anybody. Anybody can join the church just by showing up, but I don't think that's going to bring it down. Do you think a lot of people are Christians because a lot of people are Christians? Sort of. Social culture does, in fact, cause beliefs. Matthew Lanza, put your own name there, Matt. Underground coal fire burning for decades proves God. See if we can find like a video of the fire. Copy.
Proof that the fire can burn underground for decades.
Like, is it burning slowly? Only at like some parts because there only some parts are exposed to the air? Because it definitely can't be like a huge like wildfire underground.
No, it's not. It's kind of it's like it's traveling around under it. That's what it's doing as the air circulation changes. The fire will literally change direction. But yeah, no, it's not like a forest fire on the surface. It's just so extensive they can't get it out. They can't put it out.
I think it's smoldering mostly. That makes sense.
Yeah.
T-Jump, I'm an anime writer. Do you want to give some ideas? Maybe I can set a T-Jump in my future anime. Oh, that'd be awesome. I want like a force anime where people actually use forces in complicated ways. So the thing I find the most disappointing is that like a lot of anime don't have super complicated usages of their powers, which there would be. There'd be so like intricately small, detailed usages of the powers to get super huge advantages. Like if you had the Force, like in Star Wars, you could use it to like trip your opponent. Just put it under his feet so he couldn't land correctly. Or like that would be so cool just to have those little tiny things. Some anime do it really well though. Do you think Christian apologists are terrified of the truth? That's why they are so dishonest? No. I think it's just cognitive bias. Lol, atheist church will convert the theists who attempt to infiltrate the fools. How long have you been an atheist? Since I was at least 17. So almost half my life-ish. Is that over? Almost. Next year, half my life. Could you propose the exact opposite argument of the ontological argument? Yes, it's been done. The ontological argument for the non-existence of a God is literally a thing. Cannot be conceived by the mind.
So you're between 33 and 34, T-Jump?
What? What God? Couldn't hear you.
I said you're between the ages of 33 and 34 then?
I think that is called age 33, yes. Can you be in between the ages of 33 and 34? Is that a possible option?
I'm just giving a window. I was giving an estimated window of age.
I think it's logically impossible to be in between the ages of 33 and 34.
I knew you were one of the 2 years is what I meant.
Yes, Hunter x Hunter has a lot of really interesting powers, that's for sure. $33 and a half is still 33, so.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Frank? Is that Frank?
Hey.
So if I owe you $33.50 and I just give you $33, I'm okay. Okay.
Bro, yes, give me money.
Yeah, it's me, Tom. I was gonna tell you we had Philip Shapes and Colors guy come into the stage yesterday. That was funny.
Oh, nice. Did you record it? Put it on the YouTube channel?
No, I did not record it, unfortunately, but it was interesting.
How did the universe come into existence according to you? Quantum fields created it. Were you considered gifted in school? I saw a documentary about being gifted. It's not that easy. I don't know. I have high functioning autism and Asperger's and dyslexia, so maybe? I don't know. I don't understand your ontology argument. What's my ontology argument? All right, guys, I need to get some food. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Shapes and Color Guy is the best. I'm going to get off, take a nap. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the debate. Thank you for the super chats and coming to the after show. And I will see you guys later. Peace out.